Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi out here, and it is Monday morning, and it's Groundhog's Day. So, Justin, I woke him up just to be here for the beginning of the stream because I figure if it's Groundhog's Day, I should have the resident rodent of the channel show up and say hi just for the beginning of the show. Justin, happy Groundhog's Day. I know this is a somewhat important holiday for your kind, even though you're a beaver. You still find kindred spiritship with the groundhog, right? Like the groundhog comes say hi to you sometimes. Yeah. Does the groundhog actually tell you the weather normally? Like, is he like the weatherman of the animal world? Really? Really? So like it's something that's been well known among you guys like for years and years. Oh, that's cool, man. Well, I'm learning stuff on Groundhog Day from my beaver son, Justin Beaver. Yeah. Justin, thank you for getting up this morning. It means a lot to me just to be a part of celebrating Groundhog's Day. So I hope that you can go back to sleep now and get your damn sleep. All right. All right. Come here. Come here. Hug one time. This is my beaver son. I'm not afraid to show love to my son, just so y'all know. All right, listen, you're my son. I love you. You go back to sleep, and maybe I'll see you in like a month or two. Okay. All right. I know sometimes you got to go put some more on the dam. All right, Justin, say goodbye to everybody. All right. All right. He's going to go now. Okay. There he goes. He's going back to sleep. All right. Good morning, Raptor Freaks. The Raptors beat the Jazz yesterday. Thank goodness. Starting a 5-game homestand off right with a good win. A good win there. It was pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah. It was ugly at times. It wasn't the most pretty basketball game we've ever seen the Raptors play, but they got the job done. And that's the thing that matters. Yeah, sure, we could have blown out Utah in a couple of different ways. Sure, if we had a big, sure, if we had this, we could have done that, but we did what we did and we won. And that's what matters in this case. And having this homestead leading into the All-Star break, it's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be a good thing for the Raptors for practice, rest, and getting things right going into the break. Of course, the All-Stars were announced yesterday, and it was fantastic, honestly, overall. Sad that Brandon Ingram was not named to the All-Star team yesterday, but there is still a good chance that he could be added as an injury replacement somehow, some way to the team. So that's pretty cool. All right, well, let's get right into it. I do have the chat from the other stream still because I had to restart. This happens sometimes. Sometimes the microphone has trouble connecting to the computer and it says, "Oh, I'm not connected." And then I'm talking and I'm like, and that's a problem. You guys got to be able to hear me, right? All right, so let's see. Trevor J's words of wisdom at the top of the top. Have faith in your journey. Everything had to happen exactly as it did to get you where you are going next. Yes, this is something that is the biggest tool for dealing with regret. This is something that everybody should practice and believe in their lives. That, you could get yourself all in consternation and turmoil, second guessing your life, second guessing choices made, second guessing this had happened, maybe this had happened. You can't do that. You have to understand that your path in your life was laid out for you in some ways already, somewhat preordained in weird ways, but also somewhat that it is exactly the choice that is supposed to happen to be where you are to this point. Because, like Trevor's saying, you got to be where you are now to get to where you're next. And everything that is led up to this point allows you to be at this position to be at the next thing that's next. Whether it's something that you put hard work into, like an NBA career, where you busted your butt and you got drafted in the NBA, whether it's something like you built a relationship with someone and you've been building and building, and all of a sudden you did something like you bought a house together. There's all kinds of different ways to build in life and, different things you can do in your life. But, nothing is exactly the right answer. And I think that's the problem. I think that everybody thinks that there's the right answer about what your life path should be. but it's absolute horse crap. And that's the place where you get in trouble, especially with social media, seeing other people's lives and saying, "Oh, look at what they did by this point and this and this." You could mess yourself up. Everybody has different paths. Everybody has different timing. Trust your timing, trust your path, trust what you're doing. If you want something different in your life, you can change the things in your life to get it. Don't have regrets. Trust that your position and where you are and what you're doing in your life right now was exactly where it was supposed to be for the moment. If you don't like that position, if you don't like that moment in your life, change it. Take control of what you can. That's the key right there. But have no regrets. If it is this way, it's this way, and it's supposed to be that way. Blessings to the Jones family, all the Rap Freak families. And I appreciate Trevor's words of wisdom this morning. I feel like that's pretty on point right there. Trevor J saying also congratulations to Scottie Barnes, a second time All Star, and Ingram got overlooked for All Star. I don't know if he got totally overlooked. You know, I could say there's at least two Eastern All Stars I would have picked Ingram over. I don't believe that Jalen Duren is an all-star type player. I think that he's in just because Detroit has the best record in the East, and that they had to pick somebody, two players from the top teams on the top sides of the conferences. Like, I don't totally agree with Chet being there either. I think that, and I didn't agree with Jalen Williams being there last year either, guys. I know that Oklahoma City's got a really good record, but in some ways, SGA is such a premium above the shoulders kind of talent and leader that he's good enough for the All-Star for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm sorry. I don't care that their record's so fantastic and stuff like that. In some ways, I could use the old NBA argument that Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren should cancel each other out in certain ways. So they should only have one All-Star for Oklahoma City. Then they should have only one All-Star for Detroit. I don't give a shit if they're the leading teams in the conference. They don't have multiple All-Stars. They have one All-Star on those teams. You know, you might as well start saying Lou Dort's an All-Star also. If you're going to start saying Chet Holmgren is. I'm just saying. And Jalen Duren is not a star. He doesn't have star power. You look at the guy, and he's a hardworking dude. He's a brute force kind of guy. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't consider him star worthy. That's the thing. That's part of what being an all-star is you have to have a star power to you. You have to have some sort of allure as a star. And Jalen Duren is not a star. I'm sorry. He just isn't. You know, Jalen Johnson, he deserves it for stats. And in some ways, I'm okay with that. You know, but there could have been who was the other guy that I was like kind of like, really, this guy's an all-star. This guy is not Siakam, it's not Norman. Both of those guys definitely deserve it, and I'm very happy for both of them. Norman Powell getting his first all-star nod, which is absolutely something for Raptors fans to celebrate. Seeing as now that champion Raptors team has like 6 all-stars on it now. I think it's 7 actually, because I think Ibaka got the all-star too. People have been counting just 6, but I'm pretty sure Serge Ibaka was an all-star at some point in his career, just once. So, and then Pascal, honestly, they could have left Pascal off the team this year because Indiana's record, but they didn't. They showed a lot of respect towards Siakam and giving him in his third all-star team, his third one, guys. This is his third one. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal that Siakam's been getting all-stars regularly. So I don't know. Maybe Brandon could have been in there for Jalen Duren. You know, who's the other guy that's in the East that I was like, yeah, really? That dude? I forget. I should go look at the lineups again. I should go look at them real quick. You know, there are some guys like I don't agree with Denny being on the all-star team either. You know, Portland's bad, and I don't look at him as a star either. I don't think he's on that level. So yeah, why don't they just put the rosters up on ESPN? Why don't you just list the rosters? Why do you have such bullshit articles that you don't even like put the all-stars in a list? You could just put the list of the all-stars ESPN, but no, you got all your bullshit filling up shit. Let's see. Yeah, Chet and Denny were the two I didn't like on the Western side. And then on the Eastern side, it's Jalen Duren and I mean, Johnson should get in there, I guess. So it's really Jalen Duren. I'm kind of like, yeah, that maybe should have been Scottie Barnes. I mean, not Scottie Barnes, Brandon Ingram. That may have should have been Brandon Ingram right there. Yeah, it's the All Stars. And in some ways, the All Stars don't matter, but they also do matter. They do matter. They don't matter. Let's see. Trevor's saying, why a team who is dead last can have an All Star and we are on top of the East, but have only one last season? We didn't get one, and we were 10th or 11th the East. Yeah, you're talking about Siakam. Well, let's not get mad at Siakam for this. It's really just showing that he's like that. I'm really happy they gave it to Siakam. Honestly, in some ways, they could have easily overlooked him, but this is a big deal. When they have footage of Siakam seeing when he got it, and he was like, he was saying before, he's like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna get it or not, and he was pleasantly surprised because he's real about it. He understands from years on the Raptors. If your team doesn't have a good record, you may not get that kind of notoriety thrust on you. So, well, I'm happy as a former GROAT, as somebody he is a GROAT, as somebody who's formerly a Raptor. I'm really proud and happy for Siakam. Would you have rather, Siakam not get in there and Anunoby got it instead, and they had 3 Knicks on the team? See, that's the thing. That's another person that they should have had possibly considered, but Brunson and Cat get in the way of Anunoby possibly getting All-Star with their bullshit. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, it's a good question, Trevor, but I'm not going to hate on Siakam for this, but I might hate on Avija for this. I might hate on him for this. Yeah. Yeah, Jimmy's saying, "Yeah, make it make sense, Trevor." I mean, I'm trying to reason this because, Siakam is really that good and he is an all-star. We got to remember that the coaches pick this. And the coaches pick this for guys that are a problem to get ready for games. And Siakam is definitely in that category that other coaches will have nightmares about dealing with what Siakam presents as an offensive player. And that's part of the reason why Brandon should have been an all-star also, because he's like that also. But is Jalen Duren like that? No. He's a big that plays defense and rebounds and blocks shots. And those kind of guys should get credit for every once in a while, but I only say that when they're averaging like crazy numbers that are just insane. And I don't know, man. It's just not flashy. Jalen Duren's just not flashy, man. Nako's here. Good morning, Nako. Siakam's putting up better stats than BI comparable to last year. Siakam is also super celebrated these days. The Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Look at it. Look at Gerald standing for Pascal this morning. I love it. You go on then, Gerald, and stand up for the great Raptor Pascal Siakam for his case. You go ahead, take the stand, lawyer, and come and tell us your case for why Siakam is the all-star choice that is correct. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to compare Siakam's year to Ingram's because in some ways I would have loved both of them make it. But, there's still the stigma that Toronto is Toronto. And we, as Paul Pierce said when Kevin Garnett and him were talking, Toronto only deserves one all-star because that's a lot of what the NBA is going to be like. Seriously. As much as they'll say, oh, the Lakers have to have 2 all-stars because it's Luka and LeBron. I mean, that sticks. That's true. That's true. Their team that's kind of in a lesser part of their conference than we are, but that's just how it goes. I mean, the Celtics are above us, and in some ways, some people would make a case that the Celtics should have got 2 all-stars, right? But they didn't. They only got Jaylen Brown. So, it's a weird thing. It's a political thing for sure. The choosing of the all-stars. And honestly, we should be happy because we have a couple of first-time all-stars we should be very proud of, whether it's Norman Powell, whether it's Jamal Murray, whether it's the fact that this is the first time ever that Canada has 2 NBA all-stars in the game, SGA and Jamal. There's a lot to celebrate that finally Jamal Murray got his all-star and Norman Powell got his all-star. And, as a hidden balance, a bonus, Siakam got in again and Scottie got in again. So as Raptors Nation, we should be pretty happy with the representation in the all-star game as far as for Canada and for the Raptors and their alumni. Brandon's still got a chance, guys. Giannis is injured. He will be replaced. Now, will they replace him with a world player, or will they replace him with the next best player to come in? Some people are saying something dumb like Giannis will be replaced with Kawhi Leonard. Why? Giannis plays in the East and Kawhi plays in the West. And also, Giannis is on the world team. Kawhi is on the USA team. So that don't make no sense, ESPN. Why would they replace Antetokounmpo with Kawhi Leonard? Kawhi Leonard was a snub. For sure. They snubbed Kawhi Leonard on the other side. And in some ways, I'm not upset about that. I'd probably be more upset that Siakam didn't make it than Kawhi Leonard. And then also Alperen Sengun didn't make the All-Star team because of different things. Our villain Dylan didn't get on there either. He had a good case. Villain Dylan Brooks, he had a good case. So, yeah, we'll just have to see how this goes. In some ways, we already know the world team, right? Because, well, they're going to divide the All-Star teams into 2 USA teams, a 16, 8 each. And then they got 8 players that are international that are going to be playing for the world team, right? And we already know who they are. 5 of the starters that were named are world players. And that's a good sign because that's 10 starters. 5 of them will get distributed between 2 USA teams. And the other 5 will be just on the world team, which is fantastic. You know, that's the thing. Some people, experts are saying, oh, the world team's not good enough to have a full team of 12. I kind of wish you'd wait like a little bit further into my stream, Carl, but it's all right. All right, we'll take it. All right, Infamous 6 wants to come in early. Yeah, I should say like maybe half an hour into the show is like when I want my first call. Anyway, go ahead, Carl.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right, man. I know you're anxious to get in here. And we'll go ahead and do it now.
I usually call around. This is usually the time I call. I usually call around 9:45, but I can wait.
No, it's all good. Go ahead. It's just I'm on a run and I'm trying to do my All-Star coverage real quick in a row. But if you have something to say about it, we could go ahead and add you into the conversation.
Yeah. First of all, I want to talk about. We'll get it. I'll touch briefly on last night's game. A win's a win, but I'm not satisfied with how we played. I don't think we played that well, but we played it because, Utah is so underwhelming and not as talented as we basically won on talent. But a win is a win. I mean, still happy we got the win. I think the thing that we need to touch on is the All-Star. And I want to say congratulations to Scottie Barnes. And this is what people are missing. Congratulations to 5 Raptor All-Stars. We have 5 Raptor All-Stars, if you want to be honest.
5?
You want to be 5, yes.
All right. I know. All right, Siakam, Norman, and Scottie.
Right.
You're
missing 2.
Who are the other 2?
Well, technically they're not All-Stars, but they're technically going to be an All-Star.
Oh, well, Colin, and Elijah.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. And if you want, we could even add Mariah Amber to this because she's going to All-Star too.
Right, and we can even add Gorilla.
Gorilla? What you mean?
She's going to be.
Glorilla. I thought you said the Phoenix Gorilla. I was like, no. What? Why the Gorilla? No, the Raptor. Okay, Glorilla, right?
Yeah, Glorilla.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Now, for the people saying about Brandon, I do have a case for Brandon. I think he should be in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
I think based on our record, based on his durability, and what he's done for our team. For example, our team was projected to be a play-in team. And Scottie even mentioned it. He's like, we wouldn't be where we are at if it wasn't for Brandon.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
So I think Brandon can still get in. I want to say a shout out to Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter, and Tracy. They all said, and this is very unusual, Lex, they all said on the broadcast, because I was watching the Thunder and the Nuggets game. Very good game, by the way. They all said it on the broadcast that he should Brandon Ingram. When they were asked the question, well, what was the one player that you believe that should be there that was not mentioned? And they all said B.I.
Well, that's good.
All of them.
That's good. I'm not watching anything with Tracy and Vince these days. I don't watch Peacock, and I seen they have a new podcast, Cousins or something. I'm not watching it. I've seen in the new episode that they talk something about what could have been if they'd stayed together in Toronto. To me, in some ways, that's just a slap in the face. So I'm
Yeah.
just like,
It was just
I can't watch those guys right now. In some ways, they're pissing me off, but I'm glad that
yeah.
they had that sentiment about Brandon Ingram. As far as like, I think there's a
Mhm.
lot of people that are saying that today, and that's why I think that if there is an injury replacement, he's got a good chance to be at the front of the line.
Very good chance. Very good chance.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to. That's what I was
I
going to
want to
answer
say
next.
this, and maybe I'll ask you
Go ahead.
about how this you felt about this. I
Mhm.
thought it was tacky that they did the announcement right at the beginning of our game while it was going on, like in the middle of it,
Thank you,
because
man.
that
Lex.
is such a
Thank you.
distraction. And
Thank you.
in some ways, they set it up for Brandon to kind of have to deal with the news publicly in front of everybody. A-
Thank you, Lex.
And
I'm glad you said that
I
because I
said
thought
it's
I was the only one
so
that felt
tacky.
that way.
There's so many
I thought
different
I was
other
the only.
times they could have done it during the day. Maybe it had to do with the
Mhm.
programming for another game and they wanted to do in the pre-show for that. But I just found it so fishy that within the first, because it's a distraction also. Like it could actually
Absolutely.
really affect the game that is going on at that time. And there was a scenario like this last year, if I remember correctly, with the distraction of something being announced there was like a trade that happened in the middle of our game or something like that, or something happened in the middle of our game. There was absolutely a distraction for the game that it didn't have to be because of the timing of when it happened. So you feel
Correct
like
me if
that
I'm
too?
wrong.
Yeah.
Look, correct me if I'm not wrong. Wasn't the announcement around the time it was actually mentioned, like that it came out? Like that
What do you
wasn't
mean?
the announcement from my recollection, that was when the announcement was made. So they did it immediately when it was announced because I think it was announced from the other broadcast
No,
to
I know.
yeah.
And it's just that our game was starting an hour earlier than the 7 o'clock games at 6. So they do a
Mm,
pregame show on what, Peacock or something like that, and they announce
right,
them on
correct.
Peacock. And we just happened to have already started our game. And, Blake
Yeah.
Murphy's breaking the news on the sideline, and they're telling Scotty and Brandon while they're in the middle of playing already.
While they're in the middle of the
And
game.
in some ways,
I
that's in some ways they got to do it at some point. But
mhm,
in the past, I remember them doing it in a weekday, not on a weekend. And I
mhm.
remember them doing it with like the inside the NBA guys, like on a
Inside the NBA
Thursday
guys.
night,
Yeah, correct.
like at 6:30 or 7 before a game starts at 7:30 and nobody's playing already. So I feel like it's weaponized or
Mm,
tactical in some ways. And in some ways it could have, I don't know, led to some stuff with Brandon being kind of I saw two things. I saw him
mhm,
take the effect of the news and taking the consoling, and all that was all public and right out in front of him, where there's Darko coming over to talk to him, or them celebrating with Scotty in the middle of the game,
mm.
and then Brandon at some point seemed like he was a little pissed, and he was like, "All right, I'll do a little bit of a revenge game after learning this new information." And that's what Darko said. Use this as a chip on your shoulder. And in some ways, he did for a little bit in the game where he did take over and did show, well, I probably did belong on the All-Star team. So
Right.
it's
Yeah,
tough,
I agree
though.
with you.
It's tough,
I
man. But yeah, I'm gonna go over something in a sec when I get off the phone with you about the All-Star rosters in a second. But
right.
yeah, other stuff about the game.
Yeah, yeah. I was saying you're absolutely right. I thought it was a little strange that it was mentioned right. Well, and it did throw. If we want to be honest, it did throw the team off a little bit. We did kind of
Yeah,
go on a little bit of
it
a
was a
weird kind of
distraction.
slump after, right?
Yeah,
And Brandon was upset, and rightfully so. He's human. He's a human being. You got to remember when he first came to our team. One of the first things he mentioned, he said the Raptors are going to try to get me back to the All Star game to get me
yeah,
to that All Star level.
yeah.
So for him to mention that as one of the first things, that was purposely said
Yeah,
because that was one of the things that was told to him
we're
when he came
planting the seeds, and that's
in. Yeah,
part of the goals that we have set in front of him when he
part of the
comes.
goal. Yes.
And it makes sense because he's been to that stature in the past. And in some ways, part of him recovering from the injury is to recapture that glory and to get back to your peak and get back to your highest level. And if your highest level was an all-star season, he wants to become a two-time all-star just like Scotty, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
And
yeah,
he's going to be
it's
there
tough,
anyways.
but
He's
I
going to be
think he
there
handled it with
supporting.
grace overall, even if it showed a little bit. I think he
Mhm.
handled it all with grace. And in some ways, he showed he's above it, and in some ways, he showed he's still an all-star talent in the game even after the announcement. So
Absolutely, and he's going to be there anyways, just supporting his girlfriend, fiance.
we
I don't know
we
what
we,
it is.
we are just like we just got to be patient and listen to the news and see what happens. I don't know
Yeah,
exactly who on the teams is slightly hurt or who may be stepping out and stuff like that. We'll have to see. So
yeah. I think he has a very strong chance, very, very, very strong chance of getting in due to an injury.
right,
Because even the guys like Chuck and Shaq and stuff on the inside guys even threw a bone for him as well. So
right,
a lot of people are, and his, you know what, Lex, his game. People got to understand the All Star game is just a showcase. It's just like a big showcase
right.
celebration. That's really not that big of a deal. His game is conducive to the All Star game.
Yeah.
His style of play is conducive to an All Star game.
I,
You don't want it.
I, I, I
You
would
don't want
s-
an All Star game to be
I would
boring.
say this is
Go ahead.
something that people need to realize too. Is like often we have beefs about All Star here in Canada with the Raptors and every year, but this year is like sometimes we have our beefs about our omissions, but they're not really qualified or like uh, league wide, and this one definitely is, and that's why I say that, like, in the past we could say, oh, Scotty should have made all-star, or somebody should have made all-star on the Raptors and we didn't get an all-star. Sure, we can say that. But this year, the things that we're griping about with Brandon are being shared, like you said, by experts. And that's a good sign because in some ways, look, we can want things in Raptors Nation, but in some ways, is it realistic or is it a bona fide kind of want? Well, when we see experts chiming in and a lot of them are saying the same thing, then, it's probably likely that it could happen. So we'll have to see.
We'll have
So,
to see. So yeah, that's basically all I got to say. We got a game coming up. We got to focus on that. And I want to say this, Raptors. We can't go into that. That game is going to be a very tough game. It's going to be against the Wolves. We can't go in with the same mentality and the way we played last night. I think
yeah.
we played a little bit sloppy.
Yeah.
And I can understand that there would be all-star announcements and all the distractions and
We,
everything going on. But we got to come focused and locked in.
Yeah, we can't play this way against good teams in the league. We can play that way
No,
against a bad team like the Jazz and get away with it and still win. But we play that way with, I would say, any of the top 2/3 of the league. Not
oh,
a bottom 10 team we can play that way against and we can still win. But in any team that's 20 top 20 team in the NBA, we can't play that way and beat them. They will beat us.
they will
So
destroy us.
well,
Yes,
I wouldn't say that. That's a little bit of a dramatic embellishment, but uh, I'd say it
I'm
could
just
be a close game with Washington, and they figure out a way to
yeah.
beat us. Like that's what I'm saying. Like even though Washington is one of the bottom teams in the league, they're good enough that if we let them
Mhm.
hang around and we don't take care of business correctly the whole game, they could steal a win from us at the end of the game. And honestly, Utah could have done that last night too. It's a dangerous
Oh, they
game.
could have.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what scared me, Lex? The game remained very close. Like it was very close until the. And I always say this. When I always think about you when I
With the
say this.
refs.
The rep manipulation
Yeah.
within 10, right? And I say if you can have it, if a team can hang around within that 10
Yeah.
range, there's a chance that they could potentially steal it.
It's true. It's true. And we were a little bit on notice and watching that last night for sure. All right,
Yeah,
Infamous. I appreciate your call, man. I want to
I appreciate.
I'm gonna get into like this. I really have a burning desire to get this point out.
There's no
So
problem. I
it's
just want
all
to say
good, man. I
today.
appreciate you calling, man. Infamous Six is always a fantastic segment on the show, and I appreciate this, man.
I appreciate you as well. I just want to say, Raptor fans, be happy.
Yeah,
This is a day to celebrate.
for
We
sure.
have we have five guys
Yeah.
in the game.
Yeah, we
Five
can make
guys.
that
Think about that.
connections for sure. For
Yeah,
sure. I can get
yeah.
behind that. All
Think
right,
about it
man.
now.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for
Thank you.
calling. Yeah, let's go.
Go Raptors.
Let's go Raptors. That's right. Thank you, Infamous. I hope you have a great Monday and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Lex. Bye.
You're welcome. All right, I'll talk to you soon. All right, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I was saying the thing I wanted to say right now is because of the rosters and the way they're broke down with World versus USA, we already know the world team right now. Like we could go over it. It's Wemby, SGA, Nikola, Luca, Giannis, Pascal, Jamal Murray, and Denny Avdija. Those are the 8 players that are international that have been chosen to the All-Star team. So we know our world squad already. And yeah, it's an interesting mix. There's a some of it I'm like but I'm really happy that Jamal and SGA are there and Pascal. That's gonna be fantastic to root for them. Of course, it's always fun to root for Wemby, and we'll just have to see who's available and healthy. Some of the pundits are arguing that why didn't we do a straight up world versus USA 12 versus 12? But NBA, some people are saying that there's not enough good world players. I found that absolute horse crap. I think that that is a symptom of the overimportance of doting on the American stars and making them bigger and trying to make them bigger, because there are good world stars that are going deeper in. Like you could make the argument that OG could have been on the All Star team with the world's team because he's UK, right? You could have added there's other guys that are pretty dang good that are world stars that could have been added to this team. Dylan Brooks is another name that could have came up the list faster and been on a full fleshed out world roster. I think the US is just the US media and Adam Silver and the NBA are just scared about promoting globally to an extent too much. Like they really want to keep, economics in the United States in weird ways. And they've always been hesitant to a degree to promote stars like Nikola and Luca, even and Giannis, which is so weird to me because these guys are global brands and they're huge stars and they're very, very good. And it's a weird thing. So I don't know. Do you have the guts, Adam Silver, to make a straight up USA versus the world format? No, I don't think you do. And you'd make the argument that you don't think there's enough good world stars, but I don't think that's true. I think there are. I think that I'd make the argument, even though that most of the league, 2/3 of the league is American, and that's your reasoning for why you have a 2/3 of the All Star team being American, is that the American players, they're coming in from their country and they're more likely to have different levels. The foreign players that come to the NBA are the top notch creme de la creme. So they're a higher skill level overall as a group because it's harder for them to get in the NBA. And there's all kinds of jabronis just coming straight into the NBA from the country that are not, they shouldn't be included in like the highest level of talent. So I would make the argument, even if there's only a third of the NBA players that are foreign, these are the highest level foreign players from around the world, and you could definitely field a 12-man roster from it. Seriously. And that may be part of the reason why they don't want to do it is because you get a 12-man roster, guys from around the world that are deserving. RJ Barrett might be on it. Because seriously, other than RJ getting hurt, there's a strong case for RJ Barrett to be an all-star this year in some ways too. Let's see. Nako's also saying only top 3 seed this season have all-stars this season. Would be nice if BI was there. Siakam deserves it. Yeah, you can't have them both. And well, in some ways it is what it is. I've said all along, I don't think Brandon will get in. And the reason why is because they don't want the Raptors to have 2 all-stars. And also because Brandon has to have 2 years of good work back from his injury before they'll consider him. You can look at Norman. Norman should have been on the team last year from the Clippers, but LeBron was a jerk and he didn't declare himself ineligible to play until the last second. Norman could have been an injury replacement if LeBron hadn't waited so long to say that he couldn't play, which was kind of tacky move. So in some ways, Norman Powell and Jamal Murray's all-stars that they got yesterday are well-deserved ones that they've been waiting for a while that they should have gotten already. So they were kind of caught up on. So Brandon, in some ways, this year is a year to set him up for a long-deserved one next year. Does that make sense? Because, that's how it works with the MVP also. It's not like SGA won the MVP the first year that he deserved it. He had to deserve it a few years, and then he finally won it. So, yeah, Isaac's got me on blast. Good morning, Isaac Campbell. Good to see you in the chat. Holding it down for us, the nation's capital of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. That's right. Isaac's in the house. Let's see what we got here. Look at the chat's all screwed up. Why can't I scroll down and see Fiercey's comment here? Good, Fiercey. Good morning, fam. I can't read it. It won't let me read it. This is so weird, man. Let me see. Is it up on this one? Oh, okay. Here we go. Why did that happen that way? That's weird. YouTube chat is being goofy and not letting me see the comments correctly. All right, here we go. I got it now. Wow, I see you guys filled it up. Okay, Fiercey said, "Good morning, fam, and happy Monday. Glad we got the dub despite it being close. Refs were weird, tried their best." I don't know. The refs were okay. Nick Booker was pretty fair. Ray Acosta kind of just sunk into the wall. He didn't really make himself prominent in the game in many ways. And Sheree was fine. You know, Sheree and IQ were talking quite a bit there for a second, but it seemed like everything was friendly and just working it out. You know, Scottie got mad at the refs a couple times and freaked out about calls a little bit. You know, there were a couple weird little incidents on the court. You know, there was a technical, there was a couple little weird things out there, but I didn't think that they were that bad. Nick Booker's very fair. Nick Booker is a great ref, man. And I thought he did a good job. And he was definitely in charge last night. He was definitely the ref out of the three that was driving the car as the head ref. So I thought they were okay. I mean, if they had done any fishy stuff right at the end to really, really try and guide the Jazz to a W, I would have gotten mad. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that. Isaac saying, I missed the game, but loved the energy I saw. I thought Mamu was my third star last game. Glad he got the chain. Scotty be good. This is funny because he is my third star of the game for the game last night, even though he got the chain. Yeah, Mamu, the big chain winner last night. We'll do the stars since Isaac brought it up. My number one star of the game last night is Brandon Ingram. You know, Brandon to me, part of it is what we just talked about with Infamous, is that Brandon had to weather the storm of public, publicly having to hear the news in front of the whole crowd and everything like that. That's tough. That's uncomfortable, man. That's uncomfortable, you know? And well, what did he do? Did he shrink like a violet? Did he go and sulk? No, he went out there and he made moves and he played at a high level and showed that he was the top offensive player on the court against the Jazz on both teams last night. And he did good things. In fact, Brandon was key in the last part of the game to keep us ahead. He was hitting some important shots when the game kind of got pressurized and it was close and it was crunch time. It's winning time. Brandon Ingram is stepping up and making big shots to keep the lead above the Jazz at least two possessions, if not three possessions. So Brandon Ingram, this is his line. He got he had 35 minutes, only 19 points. In some ways, he could have scored more, and he wasn't. It was like there were key times where he'd show up and just kind of hit some shots to keep us going, because we can stagnate at times, and we need Brandon Ingram to keep the water flowing through the faucet. You know, 7 of 19, 1 of 5 from three, made all 4 of his free throws, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, a steal and a block, and a -1. He's absolutely essential for us to beat Utah last night because we're playing bad. Like people have said, the caller said, and commenters have said, wow, we did not play well, but we still got the win. Well, he was the level of professionalism and high quality offense that saves us and keeps us from losing to a really bad team like the Jazz. So thank you, Brandon Ingram. You're an all-star in our hearts, and you might be an all-star still in the next few days. So he's my number one star. My second star of the game for the game last night is RJ. I felt like RJ finally had his best game since he's come back from injury. He's been kind of not totally great, but he's had a winning effect, and he's had he's been a great person to have back. He hasn't been perfect, but this time yesterday he was better. He was better. RJ got 21 points in 28 minutes on 6 of 12 shooting, so 50% shooting, 2 of 6 from 3. It was nice to see him hit a couple threes. 7 of 9 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 turnovers, a +13. RJ Barrett had the highest plus minus out of the Raptors yesterday. So yeah, RJ is just steady doing what he does. In some ways, he's lunch pail. In some ways, we love just how forceful he is going into the paint. You know, in some ways, the Jazz are a team that are bigger and they can do more stuff in the lane, but RJ's carving out room and space for us in the paint by using his moves and his body and just bullying and getting in there and just trying to make shots and carve out some space. So salute to RJ Barrett, second star of the game, 50% shooting and 21 points. Yeah. Third star is Sandro. That's funny because that's what Isaac said. I thought my third star was Sandro. Well, it is my third star. Off the bench, Sandro was fantastic. 30 minutes, 20 points, 6 of 9 from the field, including 4 of 7 from three. His threes were fantastic last night. And, you know, he's had periods of the year where he was really on with his three. And then there was a period for about a month recently where he was off with his three. But it looks like in recent evidence that his three is back like it was earlier this season. 4 of 7 says that. 4 of 4 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 4 turnovers, 1 steal, plus 6 for Sandro Mamukelashvili. Yeah, he is awesome. And it's great to see him get the chain once again. Mercedes is proud. And good job, Sandro. You're our bench, basically, at this point. You're our bench. Nobody else doing jack shit off the bench other than Sandro Mamukelashvili. The rest of them are just, I don't know what they're doing, man, with their lives. Fourth star of the game for me is Emmanuel Quickly. He also shot 50% last night, just like his friend RJ. 33 minutes for Emmanuel, 17 points on 50%, 6 of 12, 3 of 6 from 3, 2 of 2 from free throw, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, 4 steals, and a plus 8. Emmanuel opened the game up with a 3, bombing a 3, and then we had a Brandon 3, a Scottie 3, and an RJ 3, all right in a row. The first 12 points for the Raptors at the beginning of the game were their 4 main offensive starters scoring each a 3, which I thought was really interesting and cool. In some ways, that was wow. Okay, you get a 3, you get a 3, you get a 3, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car, Oprah. But Emmanuel, he's like, once again, one of these guys that just has his times where he just picks up the slack for the Raptors and scores some points for us really fast and keeps us going offensively. Yeah, he was awesome. We're also seeing more of Emmanuel's expert skill in changing speeds being utilized masterfully to take apart defenses. I think that all the slander towards Emmanuel IQ this season needed to stop, and well, let's praise him. Let's talk about his skills as far as his steady shot making from 3, his braveness to do it, and then the speeds changing is absolutely a fantastic weapon. And people are not giving Emmanuel full credit for what he does for the Raptors and what his potential is for the Raptors and just the different talents that he has. Seriously, we got to get stop sleeping on this, Raptors Nation, and give quickly his due on just exactly what he can do for us. Yeah. Let's see. 5 rebounds for Quick, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, 4 steals, even plus 8. Yeah, 4 steals, man, with five rebounds, y'all. Dude, Emmanuel's a badass, man, and I'm glad he's our starting point guard. We have a great starting point guard, and we need to covet him and want him on our team, Raptors Nation. Seriously. My last star of the game is Scottie. Scottie, you know, he had a low-scoring game for him, only 14 points, but he was powerful. He did winning kind of things. He had very good defensive plays once again to show the world how badass he is on defense. 34 minutes, 14 points on 5 of 12 shooting, 1 of 3 from 3, 3 of 6 from the free throw line, which is not normal for him. 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 turnovers, 2 steals, and 4 blocks, a plus 5. Yeah, Scottie's defensive stuff is what's got him a star. It's not really his offense. He wasn't as aggressive as I would have liked him. And it's interesting to see him get the interview at the end of the game due to him getting the All-Star and then him going to pick up his daughter, Millie, and taking her off the court at the end of the game. Yeah, Scottie's just having a great, great life. He's a two-time All-Star now, and he's a leader that helps his team win. So yeah, salute to Scottie Barnes for sure. Those are my 5 stars. And well, we can go over the rest of the guys real quick. I guess honorable mention to Colin Murray-Boyles, who was out there scrapping and getting out there and doing stuff. In some ways, he's hitting a rookie wall where it's like, wow, this is a long season. It's very physical. I've been thrown into the fire because I've had to play people like Steven Adams from the start of the season. And well, this is what it's going to be. Well, I better get tougher, stronger, and smarter as I go through my NBA career because this is going to be not, it'll get easier in some ways as it slows down and you understand it better. It's going to get easier. But right now, in some ways, I see Colin kind of like, he's still making impressive moves and impressive plays here and there. There's boneheaded rookie mistakes still, but he's also fine. I'm finding that he's hitting fatigue walls right now where he looks really, really out of breath. He looks really, really kind of like, oh my gosh, this is a grind. Is kind of the energy I'm getting from Colin right now. 24 minutes, 4 points, 2 of 7 from the field. He missed the only 3 he took. 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 turnovers, 1 steal, 2 blocks, a +3 for Colin Murray-Boyles in the starting lineup. He's solid. He's fantastic. We're playing without a center, and he's a big reason why we can right now. So it's important. Jamison Battle came out and missed 2 shots, including 1 3 in his 4 minutes, and got a rebound and a turnover. I was disappointed in Jamison because in some ways he hasn't been getting into every game recently. And when he does get his name called, he needs to fucking come out there and make his 3. I'm sorry. You're in the same boat with Grady, Jamison. You are. All you guys on the bench, whether it's Jamison, Jacoby, Oshai, or Grady, I'm watching all you guys, and you guys get open shots. All of y'all need to be making them. Y'all are all guilty as charged, and y'all need to get this shit right, is what I'm saying. Abaji, same line as Jamison, but only 2 minutes for him. 2 field goals missed, including a 3. 1 rebound for Abaji, a +1. That's it. That's it. These guys got shots, 2 shots each, and all 4 shots were missed. Jamal Shed has been a little bit down lately. In fact, maybe we could say the same thing about Jamal Shed as Colin Murray-Boyles, that Shed's hitting a bit of a fatigue wall in the season right now, where it's just like he's worn down and the production is showing it. 5 points for Shed in 20 minutes, 2 of 4 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 1 rebound, 4 assists, 0 turnovers, and 0 on the plus-minus. So I like the 4 assists, 0 turnovers. In some ways, that's enough as a backup point guard. But in some ways, we're accustomed to Sheddy getting closer to 20 points more and more recently. So 5 points, in some ways, a drop in the bucket compared to the bench production that he could provide when he's, maybe hitting his shot more, maybe not so tired. That 1 3 he made was fantastic when he did. Absolutely fantastic. Jacoby Walter, maybe the best bench player after Sandro. 18 minutes, 7 points, 1 of 3 from the field, missed both his threes. 5 of 5 at the free throw line, though. He's finding his way to the free throw line and taking care of business there. 1 rebound, 1 assist, 0 turnovers, 1 steal, a -3. Jacoby Walter, unlike these other guys, well, Shed also, him and Shed have skills that can be out there regardless of whether they're good offensively or not. I don't mind Walter having a bad offensive game because I know that defensively he's going to be doing amazing things to help us with guarding people up and taking tough assignments. So, in some ways, I look at Walter out of all those bench guys I just named has had the most successful season. Shed is not really in their category because Shed is solid. Shed is going to be useful no matter what as one of the best backup point guards in the league right now. But Walter, he separates himself from the other guys because of the defensive aspect that he offers. Oshai is the same in some ways, but the thing with Oshai that's different is the writing's on the wall. And also, Oshai's offense has been dismal this year. His offense has not been anywhere near the level it was last year. And, that makes sense, not being a starter. But also at the same time, even when it's just like Grady, he gets his spots, he's not capitalizing and making it. He's not nailing the open shots in the little bit of time he gets when he does get the open shots. So it's tough. Grady Dick, 11 minutes, 0 for 2 including 0 for 1 from 3. So he had the same line as Jamison and Oshai. 0 for 2 with 0 for 1 from 3. 0 points. All three of those guys, 0 points. 2 rebounds for Grady, 1 assist, 0 turnovers, and a steal. I like the steal by Grady. I like some of the intangible stuff. I liked Grady making this crazy shot that didn't count and was kind of annoying they did that to him because he had a really amazing bank shot. And when he made it, it should have counted. In the old NBA, it would have. And that's what Alvin said on the broadcast. Alvin Williams, Raptor great, said, in my day, that would have been an N1 because that's a really athletic, amazing play. But in the new NBA, that's really athletic over skilled over, it's not. And the referees were wrong for that. In some ways, that's also the referees taking away any kind of good feelings or energy for a struggling player by saying, yeah, that doesn't count. And that's defeating. That's kind of like, oh man, I finally get a kind of cool, I like the shot because it was a trick shot. It was like a 15-foot shot. He banked it. It showed a lot of skill, but alas, it doesn't count because the referees decide that. And that is by choice that they don't count it. If it was maybe Austin Reeves, that shit counts, right? That shit counts if it's Austin Reeves, right? But yeah, Grady, I see the couple things you're doing well, and I'll lump you in with the other guys as just not getting the job done. Not getting the job done. But thankfully, you can weather a storm with the Jazz and not have a great bench production. You can have one guy get 20 points off the bench, and that's it. So yeah, there's your Raptors box score. Looking on the other side, man, I got to give a lot of credit to Lauri Markkanen. He is very skilled. He is very skilled. That one play where he bounced it off the backboard and to himself and got out of a double team, that was so crazy amazing. So good. This guy is weird, man, because he's been a good player for a couple years in the league on different teams. And I feel like he's just been in NBA purgatory. Like he's in Utah Jazz right now. It's just wasting his career, man. I think that they need to trade him. I mean, they need to trade him somewhere, but they keep saying they're going to trade him, and never happens. So I don't know. Markkanen needs out of Jazz, man. Seriously. Nurkic was interesting last night. He actually did show up and play. He got a double-double, 11 points, 13 rebounds. He was a little bit of a brute force that the Raptors struggle with. He was a little bit of stumbling around. We saw him get his legs tied up with Scottie, and Scottie twists his foot. It was actually not his ankle. He hurt his foot because his foot bent weird because he kind of got caught in a figure four leg lock with Nurkic at that one point. Some of y'all in the Discord chat were saying, if we had a center, Scottie wouldn't be tying himself up with his legs with use of Nurkic. I don't know. That could happen still on switches, even if Jakob's out there. But yeah, Nurkic was annoying. But other than that, most of the guys on the Jazz weren't that bad. They weren't that bad. Markkanen's a fantastic player, though. So yeah, let me keep going in the chat. Let's see. G saying Pascal was more excited from Norm and Scottie in his reactions. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Siakam, in some ways, he may not feel like he totally deserves it because of the record, but you do, man. You're like that, man. You're one of the best scorers in the NBA, and people see your artistry, Siakam. And, honestly, I've said this, like, I feel like you're more the franchise player for Indiana than Halliburton at this point, because in some ways you carry it different than him, and rightfully so. I love the reaction from Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet came out with a tweet when he saw the All-Star teams, and he was extremely happy for three people. He put Norman down, obviously. Norman's one of his best friends, and he talked about Unguarded, about Norman in the All-Star on one of the episodes, saying that he should have got it last year. He snubbed last year. And, well, he is like, man, I want Norman to get it so bad. So he was extremely happy that Norman Powell got his first All-Star yesterday. And, of course, he's happy for Siakam, his buddy, too. He listed him, and then he listed Scott. He put it in. Wow, Scottie's an all-star, too. Fire. And, man, this is just more evidence that the fabricated conflict between Barnes and VanVleet is so stupid. Fred's been gone for how many years now? He does not have to put on blast Scottie Barnes for his all-star achievement, but he did. And that should tell he who shall not be named and all the fucking dumbass people that had all these bullshit things they made up about Fred and Scottie not getting along or liking each other is absolute horse crap. Because why would Fred go to the trouble of mentioning Scottie getting the All-Star and being proud of him with two of his best friends from his championship team if he didn't value and like Scottie? I'm just saying the evidence is there, man. The evidence is there. Yeah. Stargate saying, "Good morning, Raptor Freak crew." Way to close out that win last night. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. In some ways, it wasn't the highest level of effort and professionalism that they're going to need against teams like Boston and New York, but they got the job done for the assignment for yesterday. And like Infamous said, he's exactly right. We play Chicago like this on a Wednesday, we're going to get fucked up. We're not going to win the game if we play this badly against most of the teams in the NBA. So you guys are lucky in some ways that you were playing Utah yesterday, because if you came to the game like that with most of the teams in the league, you're getting beat. Let's just put it that way. You're getting beat. So we got to make sure we do better on Wednesday. Seriously, y'all got to play way better than what you did yesterday. Seriously. It was good to see the threes going down a little bit better yesterday, finally. Good to see the Raptors hitting their threes. G saying they need some team world players, which I think maybe changed how players were chosen. Maybe, and that may be why Siakam got on the team, is because he's a world player and he would add to that. Maybe they took like all the international players in the league and looked at them on a piece of paper and they said, we have to have 8 of these guys. Which 8 do you guys think we should have? Well, the 5 starters and then 3 other guys who are the top 3 all-stars for the world after that. Where was Anunoby and Barrett on that list? They were probably on that list somewhere. You can start going into people like Domantas Sabonis kept getting overlooked. He's a world player. There's a couple of guys that they could have added in that made sense that are world players that wouldn't be a stretch to be all stars. There's a couple of guys that were out there. Alperen Sengun obviously could have been one of these guys. In fact, he's probably one of the top snubs for this all star is Sengun. And then he could have obviously been a world all star for sure. For sure. That's right. Fiercely saying we had a bad record last year and Scottie was a replacement player. So for Indiana to be represented by Pascal despite the record is interesting. It's not really. I mean, Giannis shouldn't be in the game also for the same reasoning, right? Because Milwaukee's really bad this year. In fact, Milwaukee's right around where we were last year, you know? So it's kind of like, well, should Giannis be on the team? Yes, because he's an all-star, because he's just an all-star, you know? And in some ways, Siakam has some of that argument for him now, is that no, he's an all-star. It's not a fluke. In some ways, that makes it more bona fide. Sometimes you're a one-time all-star. It's like, okay, the moon and the stars just lined up the right way and you got it. But if you are considered every year like Siakam and Barnes, that means that you're a perennial all-star, that you're going to get multiple all-stars. And I see Scottie doing this for a lot of his career going forward. And Siakam, well, he's like that too. And he's got 3 now, which is amazing. It's amazing. I love it. 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 Stargate saying Duran and Johnson should have not made it over Brandon. I could make that argument with you. Yeah, I could do that with you. I mean, Jalen Johnson, in some ways, is all-around talent. I mean, let's think about this. They could have picked Paulo, and Paulo didn't get on the team at all, right? Yeah. In some ways, he doesn't help the world roster because he's technically USA, even though he has world connections. And I'd like them to stick to the real world connections and not like putting Donovan Mitchell on Team World. That's stupid. Man's American. Putting Donovan Mitchell on a Team World or a cat on Team World, like Doug Smith suggested. They could put Carl Anthony Towns on Team World for playing for Dominican Republic. I'm like, no, that's fakey. That's fakery. Don't cheat real international players that could get that spot by giving an American a pseudo world spot. No, don't do that. I'm not into that. No. But yeah, Paulo and Jalen Johnson, that's kind of the switch there. It's like, well, they could have put Paulo in there. I'm glad Paulo didn't make the team, but he could be an injury replacement too, if we're being honest. Orlando does not have an all-star, but Atlanta does. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Atlanta's better than Orlando, but I think they're about the same. as teams. Stargate saying, remember, they are trying to even out the rosters to include enough foreign players to make up the world team. Yeah. Yeah. And they did that. They've got 8 world players. With Giannis is not going to play, they've got to add a replacement world player. Will that be Alperen Sengun? Could it? It probably will be. Honestly, that's who I think they'll probably pick as the replacement for World is Sengun. It's the one that probably makes the most sense, honestly. Trevor saying first time All Star Jamal Murray. Man, it only took 9 years. That's the crazy thing, man. If you think about it, all the crazy playoff heroics, all the crazy kind of, he's a star. This man's, you've marketed him as a star for a long time, NBA. Jokic is the primary star of the Nuggets, but let's not get it twisted. Jamal Murray, in some ways, even in the shadow of Nikola Jokic, has carved out star power and made himself abundantly clear that this dude's different as far as his game-winning shots, his high-scoring games, his playoff performances. This man should have been all-star years ago. And y'all finally came around and gave this man from Kitchener his final due. Finally. It just took so long. It took almost 10 years, but thank God. Norman's interesting because Norman is one of the oldest first-time all-stars in NBA history. Like, to get an all-star at 32 for the first time in your career is actually pretty amazing, guys. It's kind of like Kyle, where Kyle was not an all-star for most of his early life in the NBA. He became an all-star on the Raptors, and then he made it a whole bunch of times after that. But it's like that. I don't know how many more times Norman will get the all-star game, but he can say he's an NBA all-star now. And that's fantastic, man. Just like Freddie can too. That's right. You're in the club now, Norm. And think about that, man. So many all-stars from that Raptors 2019 championship team now. It's fantastic, man. Fantastic. Stargate saying the new format now dictates who is being selected. Maybe to a degree. Maybe they're like thinking about that when they're doing it, but also maybe they have the ballot for the coaches like that. Like, hey guys, we need you to fill out because they have the 10 already. We need you to fill out 12 players for the reserves. And we want you to wait, not 12. What are you doing, Lex? Figure it out. It's 14. 14 players each for the reserves. No, 14, because 7 plus 7. And out of those reserves, you need to pick 3 world players. So you can pick 11 Americans and 3 foreign players out of your coach's ballot. Okay. So we want 11 Americans and 3 world players in your ballot because we have 5 world players in the starters already. And we need 8 world players. And that's how they figured out. Now, how are they going to divvy up the rest of the USA guys? Like, that's what I'm wondering too. They're going to have different coaches like the Rising Stars with Melo and Vince and Tracy, who are going to be the coaches of the All-Star game. Is it going to be Shaq and Kenny in them again? Because in some ways that makes the most sense. But or is it going to, no, wait, it isn't going to be that. It's going to be the coaches from the league. So once again, we're asking who's the third coach? If we're going to pick JB Bickerstaff from the Detroit Pistons and Mitch Johnson from the San Antonio Spurs as the 2 coaches heading the East and the West, who's the third fucking coach? Who is it? Is it the top foreign-born coach for the world team, Darko Rajakovic, maybe? Like, seriously, go look at the standings. Which foreign coach has the highest ranking record in the NBA in the standings right now? Seriously, who is it? Let me go look. I'm going to look at it overall. Oklahoma City Thunder, he can't coach this year because he coached last year. We got Bickerstaff and Johnson from the Pistons and the Spurs. Is whatchamacallit in no, Edelman is not a foreign coach. He's from the United States. Ime Udoka is from the United States. Mike Brown is from the United States. Joe Mazzulla is from the United States. Chris Finch is from the United States. JJ Redick is from the United States. Who's the Suns coach again? I can't remember. It's Budenholzer. Is Budenholzer the coach of the Suns right now? I think he is. He's from the United States. And then Darko. Darko's the top foreign coach. So could we make an argument that Darko Rajakovic should be coaching the world team at the All-Star break? Could there be a surprise announcement that our coach, for his achievements and bringing the Raptors up, gets to actually go to the All-Star game and coach the world team? I don't know. In some ways, that makes sense to me. If you guys really want to make it USA versus world, you got Mitch Johnson coaching the Western team. You got JB Bickerstaff coaching the Eastern USA team. And then you got Darko Rajakovic coaching the world team because he's the foreign coach with the best record in the NBA right now. I'm just saying he's got a better record than the Memphis coach, right? How many foreign coaches are there in the league right now? Not a whole lot. Jordy's on that list too, right? Right? Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting, this new format. How is it going to fucking work? Who's the third coach? I want to see how convoluted that is. If there's an American guy coaching the World League team, I'm be like, what the fuck, man? Come on now. Fiercely saying this, Jalen Johnson could have been there next year if he maintained his rhythm. Raptors are higher in the standings. Brandon should have got it. Who knows? He may replace Giannis as an injury reserve. I mean, Jalen Johnson, some ways last year, did he make the team last year? Is he a two-time? No, this is the first year he's gotten it. Yeah, it's kind of like last year they could have made the case for him making he got snubbed last year. So this year he made it. I think that's kind of what happened here. Does that make sense? Fiercely saying, don't get me wrong. I'm also really happy for Pascal, and I'm sure Cool Cat and Mugabe are also ecstatic. Oh, for sure. We all are. I'm extremely happy that Siakam got on there. I didn't expect it. I did not expect it. I expected Jamal Murray and I somewhat expected Norm, but I didn't totally think they would do Norman. I thought they might snub Norman again because in some ways Miami's not all that in a bag of chips. And the other thing is about Miami, it's good that Tyler Hero was hurt. And in some ways, Bam Adebayo's old and kind of out in the pasture because those guys could have clouded things for Norman Powell's all-star berth. Both those guys. If Tyler Hero had been healthy more of this year, Norman may not be an all-star. You know what I'm saying? Because he kind of maybe would have gotten they may have canceled each other out, which happens. Trust me. You know, you got two guys that are kind of similar, and then all of a sudden, neither one of you guys are making it. Wayne's here. Good morning to Wayne. Morning, Raptor Freaks. We do have a bench problem. Thought we had solved it. Grady and Battle can't be tired. It's their mindset and confidence. Grady's brain dead fouls is becoming very frustrating. Man, in some ways, it's like the NBA is such an instinctual game that you have to kind of go with your body. And if you're not clear minded, if you're not confident, and if you're not kind of in the zone, you may not be working at the fast millisecond rate that you have to react without even thinking to do stuff in the league. And you have to have the good, the right kind of reflexes. You got to have the right kind of instincts. And if your instincts isn't in the right place, you'll look bad and you'll get burned. And that's the tough thing. I mean, you're exactly right, Wayne. This is not a fatigue problem for those guys. I could see the fatigue problem for Jamal Shed and Colin Murray-Boyles because, you know, Colin's played college years and never played this many games like in a season where the NBA is. And Jamal Shed is just, he's getting many minutes, heavy duty minutes, a lot of quick shed moments where he's on the court in high level times of the game. And he's putting a lot more miles on himself in some ways. Grady, Oshai, Jacoby, Jameson, they're getting their little cameos and they're coming in for like 7 minutes, possibly for the whole entire game. They're not getting run down. So that's why I just keep saying the job for you guys is to be potent. It's to be potent. You know, you're not going to get quantity. You need to be absolute quality. And if you're not coming out with quality in the little bit of time that you get, you know, why should we go and try and discover more about you in a longer stint? And that's the problem right here. I was worried, you know, Grady comes out the last few games and he's a problem on defense. He's not hitting his open shots. And then boom, he's sat for the rest of the game. He doesn't get the second stint in the second half, really. He may get 2 minutes in the second half to try him one more time to see if he's got it at that point. If he doesn't, it's a quick hook and you're on the bench. And, you know, the same kind of thing can be said for Oshai and Jameson. These guys are getting quick hooks pulled on them when they are not doing things offensively correctly. Yeah, it's tough, man. It is tough. Mr. Quasimodo saying once Pacers get Halliburton healthy, they're slapping the league. I don't know, man. I think that losing Turner is a lot more of a problem that they admit. I think that they screwed up when they let Turner go. And yeah, I was really dismayed with how the whole thing went last summer with Miles Turner, long-time pacer for 10 years, and how sour that went after a finals appearance. In some ways, the karma for the Pacers is not good because of what happened with Miles Turner. Halliburton, I don't respect as much as most people. I really do look at him as a streak shooter. In some ways, he's not that far off from Gary Trent Jr. And in some ways, he's just a guy who's had a better track record of making huge shots at very key moments. But in some ways, I don't totally respect his player build and who he is as an NBA player, as a winner. I don't really look at him as a winner completely because here's flaws in Tyrese Halliburton's game. There's flaws. Jamal Murray is a similar kind of player too, but in some ways he's a little bit more steady and more consistent and dependable than Gary Trent for sure. And Tyrese is somewhere in the middle of the two of them, is what I say. Let's see. Stargate saying if Giannis is being replaced, it will be with another foreign player. I hope so, and it should be, and it's probably going to be Sengun. If we're really looking at the power rankings of the guys who should be there next, it's probably Alpi. It's probably Alpi. That's who Fred thinks it should be. That's for sure. Mr. Quasimodo is saying Siakam been All Star, and we all are happy here about that for sure. For sure, we love Pascal, and I love seeing him get the accolades because look, this is one thing too. Is like for toiling on the Raptors for so many years, being a champion 2 times with us, a most improved player. Some people will try and make the argument that Siakam is a flash in the pan. He's just kind of like, oh, he made the All-Star once. He'll never make it again. Well, motherfucker, he's a 3-time All-Star now. And people that don't respect or think that Siakam is a top-level player in this league, well, the All-Star appearances are starting to show evidence to the contrary of your belief. Seriously, right there. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. Fiercely saying, okay, LeBron, seriously, really? Was that a pity entry as he's exiting the league soon? Well, once again, it's not just for your performances and your year right now. Sure, that can really help. It has to if you're not an all-star before. You have to be really good, like Scottie, to be getting on the all-star. LeBron, he's not having a horrible year. He's having, stats that are okay. He's been mostly healthy. That's another factor. In some ways, I bet having more problems with LeBron on the All-Star team in past years because he barely even played, right? Like, oh, you put him on the All-Star team, you voted him on the All-Star team and the starters, and this man's fucking barely played this year. So this year, I don't have a problem with LeBron being on the team because the other side of it, Fiercey, is these are all-stars, and you have to have the stars. And in some ways, LeBron is just a mandatory essential star, especially while he's still in the league playing. So I have no problem with LeBron being on the team. In fact, I think it's exactly right that he shouldn't be a starter, and he wasn't, but he's on the reserves. And that's new. He's never been that. That's definitely showing a difference because he's always been voted into the starting lineup by the fans, but he didn't this time. But they still put him on as a reserve. It's interesting. Isaac saying Wizards are 13 and 35. Is that the record for the most amazing record for an all-star? Wizards? Well, what all-star is from the Wizards? There's no Wizards all-star, is there? You're thinking Avdia? No, he's on the Trailblazers. I don't know, Isaac. I don't know where you're confused here. The Wizards do not have an all-star. Keyshawn George is on the Rising Stars, but that's it. They don't have an all-star. No, they don't. There's no Trae Young in there. Trae Young's not making the All-Star team this year, even as a replacement. Fiercely saying this, didn't they Donovan Mitchell on the world team last year? That was weird. So put him to replace Giannis and give his spot to BI. No, Fiercely, bad ideas. Bad ideas. In some ways, like I get why you're like, I don't know why LeBron's on here, but some of your takes are not right. They're not right. No, you don't do this. We're not putting Donovan Mitchell on team world. That was stupid. That was like just because he has Jamaican roots. And he's from New York. He's born in New York. He's lived in America his whole life. He's not a world player. And that was just a fudging of things that was goofy and convoluted when they did that. That did not make any sense to me. It'd make more sense if they put Kyrie on the world team for being born in Australia. It make way more sense for that. Mr. Quasimodo saying no Harden makes not having BI as a reserve not so bad. Yeah, no Harden and no Kawhi, no Clipper at all. No respect for the Clippers and their turnaround in the last month or so being the hottest team in the league, which I'm not upset about. In some ways, maybe they still got to punish Steve Ballmer for his aspirations. Maybe it doesn't look good to have Kawhi on the All Star team because of the allegations this year with Kawhi Leonard and his contract. So it's like maybe Adam Silver's dodging a bullet. It's like, don't bring Kawhi to the All Star break because we don't want to have him have to answer questions at the press conferences. That may be part of it. Seriously. No Harden makes sense too. Honestly, James Harden shouldn't have been on the team last year. He shouldn't have been on the team last year. Norman should have been on that team last year. And in some ways, Norman should be a two-time All-Star right now, honestly. Fiercely saying this, give Scotty's spot to BI and Scotty takes Giannis' spot as a Jamaican, which he is. Stop doing this. Stop doing this. In some ways, you're selling short the world players by trying to push American players in the world roster. Fiercely, I don't like this. I might give you a strike for it. Because seriously, Scotty's American. Scotty wants to play for Team USA. Scotty is not going to play for Team Jamaica unless he absolutely has to because USA snubs him for years and years. You know, Norman showing up for Team Jamaica is because he's not going to be on Team USA. There's no prospects of that. So him going to play for a Team Jamaica makes sense. Scotty playing for Team Jamaica is probably not going to ever happen, guys. Just so y'all know, the likelihood of that happening is not very high. And the second thing that's more likely to happen is he's going to play for Team USA. So, and once again, Scotty's going to be on the USA team. As much as I'd love him to change his citizenship to Canada and play for Team Canada on the Olympic team and be on the world team, no, stop doing this. We don't need to replace. We have enough real, true, legitimate international players that we don't have to fudge Americans into the world team. It's insulting in some ways that you want to do this, Fiercey, is what I'm saying. RJ Barrett, OG Anunoby, Alperen Sengun, there's Franz Wagner. There's all kinds of foreign players that are coming up in the next ranks that could be considered to be on this team. Lauri Markkanen, we saw one last night. Lauri Markkanen's an all-star. He could be on the world team. So there's enough guys from around the world. There's more good Canadians. Dylan Brooks, RJ Barrett. Come on now, Fiercey. Come on now. Shaq Lindsay's saying, congratulations to Scotty, but we came close to losing him. Oh, you're talking about when he twists his ankle? Oh, man, Scotty is like the opposite of most NBA players. I'm realizing this. He's like really tough. He's like a Tonka truck. You know, maybe some of them NBA players are like a little car that can get dented up, like a Hot Wheels car that has that little panel that flips when they get dented. Oh, I got to go sit. My pinky hurts. I have to go sit. Sky's the opposite. Sky's a throwback like this. Isaiah Thomas has a broken foot. He's playing in the finals. Who cares? Larry Bird's playing with a back that's all fucked up and he's hurt. Who cares? These guys were real men that played through pain and walked it off and stayed on the court because their team needed them out there and they stayed out there. And so many soft ass motherfuckers in the NBA at this point that it's rare to see a player like Scott at this point. Because he's like, man, he could have easily taken that ankle twist, or it wasn't an ankle twist. First of all, he hurt his foot. His foot got bent backwards, and it's like his foot arch where it was hurt. It wasn't around his ankle he was holding. It was a foot bend back, which was weird. It was kind of like his foot got bent back by the legs of Nurkic. Now, I know everybody has a collective gasp when they see something like this happen on the court. It was like, oh, and everybody starts going through all the worst case scenarios in their head and all this stuff. I thought it was crazy that Scott, first of all, he wanted to stay in the game after that. He should have probably went straight to the bench after that happened. But he was like, no, I'll walk it off. I'll walk it off. No, leave me in. And he stays out there. And he runs up and down the court a couple times. He's like, oh, wait, no, actually, I do need to come out. That was crazy because, like, kudos to him because that shows, like, in some ways, like, he's the one who knows his body the best. And he's going to tell the coaches and the medical staff, I want to stay out here. I don't want to come out. But then he's like, okay, wave the right flag. I do need to come out and get Rayhan to look at it. And it's like, oh, man. But did you see how long he sat out? You know, other guys could have had that happen to them and they go to the back, and then they're like called for the rest of the night. No, Scottie Barnes will not be returning to the game tonight because of the ankle or the foot injury. No, that didn't happen, did it? No. First of all, he tried to stay in there right after it and walk it off. Didn't work, so he went and sat for a little while. Got a little bit of help from Malik, and then he came back in like within 5 minutes after that, even because it was the fourth quarter. It was an important time in the game. He could sense that his presence was very essential and important to his team to try and get that W. So Scottie's the ultimate team player. He's more willing to sacrifice more than a lot of NBA players would in this league and try and play through the pain and try and do that. He's like a tank, man. He's like a tank in a massive multiplayer online game where he's taking damage, but he's tough and he just stays in there. And I appreciate him for it. In some ways, you are not like the rest of the league, Scott, for that. And I appreciate you and recognize you for it. Seriously, it's crazy, man. He probably, maybe for precautionary reasons, some Raptors fans who are very cautious may have been like, no, Scott, don't come back in. Just sit for the rest of the game. It's the Jazz. We don't want to possibly have you further injured for taking a risk to be out there. But Scott's going to do what he's going to do, man. He's going to do what he's going to do, and I think that's amazing, man. It's an amazing thing, especially in today's NBA. Let's just put it that way, especially in today's NBA, man. Yeah, that was crazy, man. Let's see. Nako Sam, middle of the game got a little icky for me. They closed it good. Yeah, we weren't good for parts of the game, but there were parts of the game we were. And man, they really are trying to take away our transition game. The referees are so bad about holding up the game and just pausing. And this is totally gamed against us and our specific identity of being such a good transition team. Our fast break stats could be way better, but the referees govern us once again. And I say govern just like a governor on an engine. You had a go-kart when you were a kid. Your dad didn't want you to drive over 80 miles an hour on your go-kart. He put a little thing on the engine that won't let it go to a certain speed. And they govern our speed on the court with our fast break by doing weird shit like, you got to pause to check the shot clock. These guys, our guys want to bounce the ball and bounce it back in and go right away after the other team scores. But sometimes Sheree Mitchell or Ray Acosta, they're holding the ball and they're waiting for a signal from somebody to give the ball to them to throw it in. Or they make it confusing. They're kind of like, come and stand over here instead of here. Oh, we were going to inbounds on this side of the court. But no, we're going to come over here and stand at this spot all of a sudden. Come over here real fast. This is all by design in some ways, to cut out our transition opportunities and to allow the other team to get set defensively. It's such an insidious referee manipulation on the down low. And for a team like ours that relies so much on transition baskets and fast break, they can really try and stop us from having one of our best powers and one of our best identities by doing this phenomena. It's very annoying. It's very, very annoying. And when you're watching the game and you see kind of like, why are we waiting around? Why can't he have the ball? Why can't we inbounds the ball and get the fuck up the court and try and get a fast layup? Because in some ways they're trying to stop us from doing that. And that's why they hold the ball. It happened to the Jazz last night for a second, and Nurkic got pissed. They did a good job on defense, held us off from scoring for the 24-second clock. And as soon as the 24-second clock ended, the Jazz had a fast break opportunity. But Sheree Mitchell called it off, said, no, this is a 24-second shot clock violation, side out. I hate that rule. I think that the NBA, one of the things they need to tinker with and study about the league is, why did you take away showtime kind of play? Why did you take away the fast break so much? In some ways, the fast break is one of the most exciting parts of the NBA historically, whether you talk about the Showtime Lakers or players running down the court and jamming it and throwing it down, stuff like that. You're taking away some of the best opportunities to do this, Adam Silver, with the way the refs are doing what I just described. Why wouldn't you want an up and down game that's more fluid and not having so much herky-jerky, dumb little delays by the refs with dumb shit? You're streamlining the challenges and stuff by putting headsets on them like they're in a fast food restaurant in the drive-through. You're doing all this shit to make the game more streamlined. Well, part of being more streamlined is just let them fucking run up and down the court and play. Seriously. I think that you would get entertainment value for the NBA back up, because part of why the NBA was so fantastic was fast break. And if you can you're going to control the fast break and limit it or make it not as part. I feel like you're ruining in some ways an aspect of the game that is naturally one of the best, most exciting parts of the game. So I say, Adam Silver, do research on fast break and transition and how you can cultivate the teams to allow them to do more of it instead of y'all holding them up and slowing them down, is what I'm saying, man. That's right. Fiercely saying, congrats to Scottie. So wholesome to see him grab his daughter. Yeah, Millie. Millie's been sitting at that one spot with Alyssa at the end of the game. And Scottie, I guess it's just kind of a routine now. Scottie comes and does the post-game interview with Blake Murphy. Congratulations to Blake, who was doing the sideline stuff last night. I thought you were very good. I thought that you were a huge upgrade. I found you very clear and concise. I found you very informative. I found you, very natural in that position. I could tell you really enjoyed doing the post-game interview with Scottie Blake. So kudos to him. That was a fantastic change. I know that Michaud is gone to do the Olympics, they're saying, or something like that. So she's going to be gone for a little bit. And we're going to have Blake Murphy doing this job on Sportsnet for a few games now. So this will be interesting to see. But yeah, Scottie does the interview, and then he walks over and he grabs his daughter and he takes her into the locker room at the end of the game. And he's done this a few times this year. So this got to be fun. He brings his daughter to the back and he spends some father-daughter time immediately after the game. And of course, we know she's talking. So who knows what kind of conversations Daddy Barnes is having with his little daughter, Millie. It's probably very cute, some of the stuff that they're talking about back there. Who knows? Let's see. Wayne saying this. Good try, Fiercey. Scottie's an American. That's right. See, I don't get this. I don't get why she's trying to do that. Shaq Lindsay saying, I love Pascal, but he doesn't deserve it. I'm not with you on this, Shaq Lindsay. He does. He deserves it because the coaches that play the Indiana Pacers this year, that is who they have headaches about. That is the person who they have to game plan. That is the person who, no matter how focal they make their defensive assignments for, he's still scoring on them. He's still taking it around them. He's still spinning it through them. And that right there is why he's an all-star. And I love that he's recognized like this. I don't agree with you, Shaq Lindsay, on this one. I do not. Stargate saying, just like I can't watch Hello and Welcome, those two on there piss me off. We're talking about the cousins. Yeah, I mean, I wish I would liked them enough to watch that show, but I don't even want to try and watch it. I really don't. I mean, I get it. I'm happy for Vince being on Peacock with his cousin, and he helped his cousin get that job. And, he's helping Tracy get more and more involved in media, which is fantastic. But once again, these guys are not totally good standing Raptors alumni in my book. In some ways, they played the villain side too heavy, and they enjoyed it too much. And that's the problem right there. That, there's a yin and a yang with Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter and their Raptors history. And it's the exit and it's the return that is the dark part. And in some ways, their energy is still in that area of the yin and the yang to me. That they're not necessarily in the light side with the Raptors in the right way. Tracy, you do these Gillette commercials with Grady Dick. That's cool. In some ways, I like you more than Vince. But still, I don't totally trust either one of y'all. I trust you as far as I could throw you into Lake Ontario. All right, let's keep going. Jimmy's saying this. I'm sorry, but if you're the last team in the East, you should not get an all-star, period. Love Pascal, but hell nah. That's in some ways, look, you guys, I get why y'all are being like this. But can I make the argument that Siakam's getting accolades that are built up that he didn't get in the past that maybe he should have gotten when he was on the Raptors? Like if he was overlooked for different stuff while he was up here because he was on the Canadian team and he was on the Raptors, well, maybe this is the buildup of good stuff coming to him for all the hard work over his long career that he didn't get all the accolades, that this is like, you know what, you get this even though you guys are like this. I think that people are right when they're saying that maybe partly Siakam's on the team because of the roster format. But also, we've got to give him credit because he seriously is one of the toughest guys to scheme for as a coach. And you can totally see that aspect being part of the reason why the coaches would pick him. Seriously, he deserves it. It's just, what does the Indiana Pacers deserve it? No. But does Siakam as an individual for his body of work and him as a player for his career? Yes. Yes. So there's a delineation there. You gotta put in that. And there's been really bad teams that have had all-stars throughout the history of the All-Star game because that person just is that star power. It's just that star power. This is not that far off from saying Giannis doesn't deserve it either. Seriously, if you think about it. Let's see. Fiercely saying this. That's because Nurkic is a dirty player, always been. Jakob plays clean and uses his talent. Nurkic is emotional. By the way, Desmond Bane got another flagrant foul yesterday. He's slowly becoming a menace. He's got very strong arms. And, well, I guess he just doesn't know his own strength. But, yeah, he's playing with a real edge right now. In some ways, I can't get mad at him for that. He did that to us. Well, at least we know it wasn't just against us. He's going and doing it to other people, too. I mean, Nurkic is a weird player. In some ways, he is kind of goonish. He's clumsy, he's big, and he's round. And, there's going to be incidental contact and weird stuff with him. I don't think he's overly dirty. I think that he could have tried to avoid Scott's legs a little bit better in that little kerfuffle that they had. He could have probably, but I wouldn't call it necessarily a dirty play. I'd just call it an unfortunate, clumsy play. But I don't think he's intentionally trying to hurt Scott. He came over to him when he came out of the game, and he patted him on the leg while he was sitting on the bench and told him he was sorry. So Yusuf Nurkic, even if he was in an incidental contact with Scottie where it was scary and it scared the shit out of Raptors Nation, he didn't want to hurt him. He obviously didn't. And he came over and he apologized, and he was very good about that. I did note that. In some ways, I was like, all right, I could go in on Nurkic tomorrow, and I'm sure some people will want me to, but I'm going to give him credit for, caring. He was considerate, and he did show authentic consideration for Scottie at the game. He did. You saw that moment when he came over to him when Scott was on the bench at that point, and he said, he probably said, "I'm sorry." And then he said, "I did not mean to get you hurt in any kind of way." And that's respect. And that's also a sign that the dude's not necessarily dirty. Maybe he's just really clumsy. He's just really clumsy. Shaq Lindsay saying Jalen deserves it because Pistons are number one in the East. See, I get that, but I don't get it. I don't believe in this shit. I don't think that just because you're the number one team, you should get 2 All-Stars. Because you could have one really badass player like SGA, and they're a tier above everybody else. If you're talking about who's the MVP for the Pistons, it's Cade Cunningham. Who's second? I don't know. You could actually make arguments for other guys than Durant as far as who is the most important second Piston. This is, why do you land on him? Is it because he has certain stats that stand out next as far as points per game and rebounds per game? I mean, I don't get it. I don't think that team deserved another All-Star. I don't think Oklahoma did. Do you either? I'll make this argument. Just because they're at the top of the standings doesn't mean you should get the multiple All-Stars, because, you may have one really, really good guy, like I'm trying to say. And there's other teams that maybe don't deserve 2 All-Stars because of where they're in the standings, but they get them because it's Luka and LeBron. I think that the term All-Star gets perverted and messed up when you allow low-quality people to be All-Stars that are not like, Jared Allen's not an All-Star, guys. He should have never been on the All-Star team. The only reason why he was put on the All-Star team was because Cleveland had a really good record that year, and they needed 2 All-Stars. That's why I don't like this argument y'all are giving me right now. It doesn't mean these people need to be All-Stars. Jalen Duren is not an All-Star, guys. And just because Detroit deserved a second All-Star, J.B. Biggerstaff's coaching. Okay? Cade Cunningham's there, and J.B. Biggerstaff's going to be coaching that game. There's your All-Stars. I don't agree with this. I can disagree with you guys on this. I'm just going to say that. Jimmy's saying top of the East is so tight. We beat the Knicks and Magic. BI probably would have gotten in. We would be the 2 seed. That may be true. if we had won those games, it would have been a little bit more high profile and it would have happened. Does the Knicks deserve 2 All-Stars? Probably. Probably, because they have that market and they build up guys in their way. Cat's been an all-star in the past. Jalen Brunson's been all-star in the past. I honestly think you could make an argument that OG's an all-star, that he could have been on the all-star team in the place of one of those two guys if one of them had been hurt. So, I didn't think that Boston deserved 2 all-stars this year, but some people would try and make that argument, you know. Let's keep going. Let's see. Wayne's saying they did the same thing with Fred. Same scenario, guys. Refresh you up all your memories. What scenario? What are you talking about with Fred? Which scenario? I'm talking about a couple different. Freddie was our best player of the year he got on the All-Star team in some ways. He was our engine. He was our go-to guy. He was carrying. In some ways, he talked about how he wasn't totally comfortable in that position, that he liked it way more when Siakam was kind of more the guy for our team during those times, even though at times it was muddled. It was either Van Vliet or Siakam. Who's our guy? Who's our guy? I don't know. Which one is it? In some ways, Fred never really was comfortable with that pressure of being that guy, and he was much more comfortable when Siakam was that guy. He said that on Unguarded recently. Fiercely saying, right after finding out he was snubbed, BI kept on missing his shots. I believe he was disappointed, but got back to being a professional and kept playing well. Respect to BI. Yeah, I don't know if he missed a whole bunch of shots that were that noticeable. In fact, I saw him kind of get eye of the tiger. The thing that's really impressing me about Brandon Ingram right now is he is getting more mobile. And his attacks to the rim are so awesome right now. There was one play last night where he went full court. He had the ball coming up the court, and he was just so determined. And maybe this was part of the energy of being frustrated about the All-Star snub, is that he did a move where he snaked through the lane and got right up to the rim and just made it. Like he wasn't being denied. And it was really high level because he went through contact and defenders that were clogging the lane, and he kept the handle when he could have gotten it knocked out of his hands. It was amazing. Like, it was the kind of thing like Scottie does sometimes that emulates Giannis, where it's like, okay, this guy's coming downhill. He's coming down the court. He's not passing it to anybody. He's coming straight through the lane, and he's going to fucking make it. There's been more of this kind of action from Ingram in recent games that I love, because it's showing he's feeling more and more healthy. He's more and more mobile. He's feeling more comfortable. And this is something that he could go to a whole other level if he's attacking the rim more often, dunking it, and even the stuff in transition. Like that play last night when I saw that, it's kind of like when Scott does it. I'm like, oh shit. Like, if he's a runaway train coming down the court, some people will not be able to stop him. A lot of people won't be able to stop him. Seriously, man. It's crazy, man. Yeah. Danny's back. Good to see Danny the electrician. Feels like we played very flat yesterday. Yeah, we were uninspired. And that was what Alvin kept saying. Just very flat. And like, where is the energy? And what are we doing out there? Are we wasting our lives? Are y'all not taking this game as sacred and seriously as you should? What's going on here? Why are y'all like this? Why, you're back at home. You got a long home stand. Let's get it together. Let's fix it all up. Let's fix it all up. That's right. Kesper is saying, I agree. We have to be careful with the Bulls. They still seem to have our number, regardless if they're tanking or remaining mid. I think it's because of their speed they're able to play at. Yeah, the Bulls have been a troublesome team for a team that's not really one of the top teams in the East for the Raptors, for sure. This year we haven't played them yet, so I won't give them this yet, because it could very well be we handle them way better with Brandon on our team, because I don't think we've played the Bulls with Brandon in our lineup yet. So we'll just have to see, plus Colin too. So we'll just have to see. This is definitely a game we can't take lightly, and we definitely need to play better than we did yesterday. For sure. Trevor J saying they announced, hang on, it jumped ahead. Where is it? It's Trevor, thanks for filling it up, guys. Let's see. They announced it for all 30 teams at 6 p.m. on Peacock, who was going to be all-star. Raptors was not the only team that played yesterday at 6 p.m. I know, but it's a distraction. And in some ways, I've noticed the NBA doing different stuff in weird ways that in some ways could be weaponized to hurt certain individuals or teams. And there was a moment like this last year that I remember, and I forgot, where it was like in the middle of our game, we're not focusing on our game because there's outside distraction, like news coming from the league of some sort. And all of a sudden, everybody's like in the middle of the game, like not totally focused on the game because there's other shit going on, and their information's coming to them. I forget what it was last year. It was something that happened in the league at during our game, and I was like, well, this is not fair. Why are they doing this right now? It's a complete distraction for our team. And I feel like this is true about this. They could choose, they shouldn't be announcing them on the weekend, is what I should say. They should announce it on a Thursday, like on inside the NBA, like they used to, like at 6 p.m. Then when the teams don't start until 7, and then players know and they can find out backstage in the locker room and not find out on the middle of the court in the middle of the game. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Because they could schedule teams they don't like during the decision that you just said, and they'll schedule all the teams they do like away from it. You know, I'm just saying it can be weaponized. Kareem saying this: we need to stop playing down to our opponents for sure. Yeah, sure, bad games here or there, but we should have had this game easily. That said, size matters, and if Kessler was in that game, we could get injured. And talking about a loss. Okay, I don't totally understand that last part. That's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda. We don't need to talk about woulda, coulda, shouldas, Kareem. We'll just talk about what actually happened in the game and whether it's Kessler or injuries or whatever you're trying to say there. I agree. We got to stop taking people lightly or coming flat or just not playing to the highest level that we can play. In some ways, it's not about the competition. It's about our own competition with ourselves and trying to be as perfect and as best as we can be. And we weren't that yesterday, but luckily we're playing an opponent that you could get away with being like that. So I woulda, coulda, shoulda, nothing with Kessler and the other stuff like that. And we can't say we should have beat them by 20 and stuff like that. No, we just say we should have beat them, and we did. You can't say, oh, we should have routed them and all this stuff. No, you can't just say that. Every game's different. And, Washington can beat our ass like they did last year. Charlotte can beat us some of the times they won this year. Expecting a rout against a team with a bad record is just it's part of the problem with Raptors Nation wanting over expectations and expecting this is the level you should be at. Fuck that. You beat the Utah Jazz, even with their bad record, by 1 point. That's a win. That's all I care about. I don't give a shit if they beat them by 15 or 20. They just need to get the W. That's it. That is it. That's right. That's right. G saying Jazz is a lengthy team, and although it was an ugly win, without our 7-footer, they managed to pull out a win. We tend to struggle more against length and physicality. Let's go look at the team stats and see how that shaped up for the game. It was really important. We held the Jazz to 16 points in the fourth quarter. That was a pretty good defensive effort in holding them down late. We won the first quarter. We lost the second quarter. We won the third and the fourth. The second quarter was where things were kind of a dud and like just stupid and kind of like, wake up, Raptors. You're in an NBA game. This is kind of the energy around then. We shot better than them, 42% from the field. They did take more field goal attempts than us. So that kind of shows that they were a little bit more hustling than we were. We made more threes than them, 12-8, which is an important stat for the Raptors to win these days because we're not the best three-point shooting team. But if we can make more threes than the other team, we've got a good chance to win. The free throw line wasn't bad. We missed 5 free throws, 25 of 30. They did get four more free throw attempts than us. So maybe a little bit of the refs helping them a little bit, but pretty even there. We did get out rebounded, 56-42. And this is evidence that the size advantage for the Jazz was in effect because they got 14 more rebounds than us. But part of that is also, they shot worse, so we should have got more rebounds. So maybe there was a problem there. Maybe there was. They got 18 offensive rebounds. That's way too many. Way, way too many. The assist to turnover ratio, which is the key stat of the year, 22 assists for the Raptors, only 19 turnovers. So we were a little bit closer to that really even assist to turnover ratio that's not good. And that's kind of being careless with the ball and having too many turnovers. We got to cut down the turnovers. We've been a good team protecting the ball and not having turnovers. But in games recently, we have not been taking care of the ball right. So just like in the Orlando game and the Knicks game, we did not take care of the ball correctly, even though we won this game yesterday. So this is an area that Darko's really got to uh, uh, beat beat into their heads right now that this is something y'all need to do better is stop the turnovers, the dumbass turnovers, whether it's weak ass passing, whether it's just a dumb thing like stepping out of bounds or whatever dumb like offensive foul or something like that. Fast break points, 19 fast break points for the Raptors. As I said earlier, they were holding us back on some of that. And then the points in the paint does show that Nurkic and the Jazz did beat us there 48-36. So there is some credence and evidence to what G's saying here about the Jazz size being an advantage for them that they wielded against us. Yeah, Kesper is saying this. And as for the All-Star selection, yeah, as usual, just the NBA trying to screw our reputation and frame us in front of a larger American stage for ratings. Oh well, as usual, the basketball plays on. Yeah, I think it's just uncomfortable, especially for somebody who's just a quiet player and a quiet person like Brandon to have that all publicly play out right in front of everybody. In some ways, it's just tacky. It's just tacky. And whatever. The NBA has been tacky in the past. So why would I not expect them to be tacky in weird ways? Seriously. I feel like it's tacky. It's tacky. G saying this, as Shed and Colin have been better scouted now by other teams, they will adjust. I think it really is fatigue, man. Because you look at them, they're huffing and puffing and holding their knees, and they're just worn out. I mean, Shed had this happen last year in his rookie year too, because he's such a high level rookie. He got overused as a rookie at the highest level on the Raptors. And there was a certain point around the middle of the year where Shed hit a wall physically. And you know what? This all-star break will be very useful for these guys we just mentioned, Colin and Jamal Shed. That they need a rest, man. And in some ways, Murray-Boyles might not get totally the rest he could get because he is going to the All-Star weekend, but it'll still be better than playing every other night in an NBA game and stuff like that. But these guys will get a rest this month. February is full of lots of time off, lots of time off. And hopefully we'll look really refreshed and energetic by the end of February. We'll have to see. Randolph's here. Good morning to Randolph Phillips. Monday, blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks family. The universe continues its natural progression and gives God glory. Humans, why can't we do likewise? Stop trying to go against the creator. Glorify him. I love this. I love this. Yeah, we have to take care of what God has created for us, because if we don't, we're going to lose it. And in some ways, the less we are tied to the creations of God and the natural world, the more we go to the wrong side of things. And that is the other side with the devil. And that's why, in some ways, people can make connections to AI with Antichrist, because there is a lot of truth to that. And in some ways, we need to understand what is real and what is not. And, there's something pure and true about a creation from God, because it's like a tree. A tree is not perfect like an AI image might be. A tree has imperfections and maybe a broken branch and different things about it that makes it more natural and just true to creation. We're like that too as people. None of us are supposed to be perfect. We're supposed to be just as interesting and intricate as the natural things in our yard and the creatures and the trees and the insects and the microorganisms. So that's the thing. Are we going to go to a place where perfection is sought by computers, by AI, by data centers, that it squeezes out the character and the actual true essence of creation, which is imperfection? I don't know. These are things we need to really philosophize and have deep meditation on to understand as the world transgresses and goes forward into new realms. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families. I love this, man. I love this. I love this message right here. I do. Randolph saying, Lex, everyone I voted for All Stars on Easter and on East and West made it except for Brandon Ingram. I hope he gets in. Good job. Good job, Randolph, figuring out who the All Stars should be. But yeah, Brandon might still get in there. We're gonna hold out for him still. Kesper is saying Markkanen's contract is such an albatross that whoever gets him better go all the way. That's the thing, man. That's what I'm saying, man. Teams need to be smart with who they're getting and how much they invest in, because you don't want this hung on your team where you can't move guys because they're a toxic, bad asset. They said RJ was, but he wasn't. He wasn't. I don't think Markkinen is either. I think that if you add him to the right situation, he's well worth his money in the dividends he pays for success. We'll just have to see, man. He's in such a weird spot in Utah. We forget about him. He seems like such a loyal guy, too, and he's just unassuming and he's just playing his NBA career. I mean, it's not like he's out there slacking. He's not like he's out there, kind of like, well, I'm on a bad team. I don't need to try. No, he's playing very high level, considering the fact that in some ways his career's just gone nowhere because of where he is, not because of who he is. It's kind of crazy. Stargate saying, I'm happy for Jamal Murray and Norman. Yeah, me too, man. Very, very happy for them. Cream saying, Josh Lindbergh on Hello and Welcome right now, talking trade deadline. Okay, cool. Yeah, I hope that there's not a whole lot that's interesting they're saying. It's probably just like, yeah, don't expect the Raptors to do anything, Raptors fans. Is probably what Josh Lindbergh's saying. I could reenactment while it's going on. Hi, Josh Lindbergh's on the show today. Hi, Josh. Hey, hi, Alex. Hi, William. How are you today? Oh, hi, Josh. I love watching you on the Sports Center. Oh, Alex, you're so funny. What do you got to talk to us today, Josh? Well, we all know it's the trade deadline coming up. And well, is Bobby Webster going to distinguish himself away from Masai Ujiri? Is the first year without Masai? What is he going to do? A lot of Raptors fans have been talking about a lot of big names, but I don't know if it's totally realistic if they'll have big names involved in the actual deal that they do. Oh, that's interesting, Josh. So what do you think the Raptors will do? I think it's more likely that the Raptors will make a move like for a Day'Ron Sharp or a Goga Bitadze or something like that. Oh, that's great. Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, can we just rewash this content over and over again and just keep it running through the washing machine? Oh, sure. It's the trade deadline. This is what we're supposed to do right now. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're saying right now, Kareem. I don't know. I don't know. They're on live too. Oh my gosh. I feel threatened. I don't care. Let's see. Stargate saying Darko is the third coach. Darko for our all-star coach. Yeah, I think so too. They don't have innovative ideas like this on Hello and Welcome, do they? That Darko Rajakovic should coach the third team at the All-Star break, the world team, because he's the best foreign coach in the NBA with the highest record. Not Tiago Splitter. No, not Tiago Splitter. Not that Finnish guy in Memphis. Not Jordi Fernandez. No, no. The best coach with the highest record from a foreign country is Darko Rajakovic in the Toronto Raptors. So maybe he should be coaching the world team. I don't know. That's an interesting subject. How are they going to handle that? How are they going to handle that? That's right. Darko should coach Team World. I believe that too. I like that. Stargate saying, yeah, they treated Turner like shit in Indiana. Look how many times they tried to trade him and he remained professional. Yeah, and then they did trade him after they went to the finals. It's a total stab in the back. And people that are mad at Miles Turner, you're mad at the wrong people. You're mad. You should be mad at the Indiana Pacers ownership for doing what they did. Honestly, I didn't understand it, man. That dude was loyal and he was like Mr. Pacer to a degree. And now it's all messed up. He's on Milwaukee, and that didn't work out either. It's just a bad situation. Bad situation. If it was saying I have no issue with LeBron either, Lex, you explained it very well. It's called All Star for a reason. Yeah, these guys are supposed to be stars. They're supposed to be recognizable. It'd be kind of like an omission if LeBron wasn't on the team. Everybody like, why is LeBron not on the All Star team? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm not a huge LeBron fan, but I can see how this all makes sense that he has to be on the All-Star team because in some ways it's just his generation. And that while he's around, he has to be on there. It's just like Kevin. Kevin is going to be on the All-Star team because he deserves it from his stats on the Rockets. But Kevin Durant, in some ways, he gets on that All-Star team partly because of the body of work and the place in the history of the NBA, because that matters. That used to matter a whole lot back in the day. They didn't allow so many first-time All-Stars back in the day because there was a certain level of guys that were just going to be on it every year. They had to be penciled in the 80s and the 90s. There were just guys that like, yeah, this dude's an All-Star. I don't care if their team is 20 and 40. This dude's an All-Star. We know this guy's an All-Star because we've seen this guy for years and years do this consistently over and over again. And it was harder for first-time All-Stars to break in. Now it seems like they really enjoy having a new class of new rookies, new All-Star first-timers. And they make a big deal out of it. We have 7 new all-stars for the first time this year. Woo-wee. In some ways, it should be more exclusive. Maybe in some ways, that's part of the problem with the all-star game, is that you're not making it more exclusive. The NBA is all about making things exclusive. Maybe you need to treat the all-star game a little bit more exclusive and make it a little bit more like that used to be, where it's like these guys are just perennial all-stars because they're like that. They're bona fide. They've earned it. They show it every night when they come to the arenas across the NBA and they put 25 in the hoop every single fucking night. Dominique Wilkins, Michael Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Larry Bird. You know, these guys are all going to be all-stars. In some ways, they have to have Durant and James and some of these older guys on there because of that. And in some ways, maybe there's too many first-year new all-stars every year. Maybe there should only be like 2 or 3 guys every year that get into that exclusive club instead of like 7 guys coming in every year as brand new all-stars. I mean, I would argue that waters down the all-star game and makes it worse. Because in some ways, some of these dudes ain't carrying their weight as all-stars. Jalen Duren, come on, man. Come on, man. He's not a star. He's not somebody you're going to put in commercials. He's not somebody who's going to get a bunch of endorsement deals. He's not somebody Hollywood's going to say, we want to put you in a cameo in a movie. He's not like that. That's what I'm saying. Jared Allen isn't either. You know, I would argue Evan Mobley shouldn't have been an all-star either. Seriously. Let's keep going. Stargate saying Scottie and the Thompson twins will probably not play for Jamaica. They're also likely to be picked for the USA in the future. Now, the Thompson twins would have played. They would have played with Norman, but there were problems with their passports or their work status to play for them, and it was delayed. Those guys already said they would, and they will show up. But you may be right. I don't know how much the Thompson twins are on the radar for Team USA. Scottie's definitely more on the radar for Team USA than those two. But you may be right that those guys are more diverted to USA. But I was pretty sure they're this close and they're already established as Team Jamaica guys. It's just their paperwork didn't get it done in time for them to play in the America Cup last year when Norman played. So Fiercely saying this, I was jokingly suggesting Mitchell and Scottie to replace Giannis, and now I'm thinking they may not put BI as a replacement for Giannis if we follow the logic of Team World. Yeah, they won't for him. If Brandon's making the team, he's getting on the team as a replacement for an Eastern American player that's just like him. So we got to look at the rest of the guys on the rosters and say, well, is this guy hurt and he's not going to show up? Well, Brandon might be an injury replacement for them. I don't know. Is Mitchell hurt? Is anybody that's on the Eastern reserves hurt? You know, that it is an American guy. It's tougher when a Western guy's hurt. They may replace him with a Western player like Kawhi instead of Brandon. So we'll just have to see how it all works out. We'll just have to see because we know people are going to be hurt. You know, LeBron could very well say, "I'm not playing in this game," and all of a sudden there's another spot opened up because of him. Maybe he learned his lesson from waiting too long on saying he wouldn't play. You know, who knows? We'll just have to see. I'm not paying attention to the injury report on the All-Stars close enough to really realistically understand who a replacement could be. But I think for Giannis, the replacement's Sengun, even if he's a Western player. I think that if you really want to say who's the Eastern world player that replaces Giannis after Giannis, I don't know. Is it RJ? Is it, what world player that's on the Eastern Conference that's up near the top that could be in there? Because then it's like your second All-Star from Toronto isn't Brandon Ingram, it's RJ Barrett, which is a really weird swerve all of a sudden out of the blue, right? Right? Kesper's saying, are there any other teams' games that have a clock malfunction all the time? It is sus. I think that it happens a lot around the league, and it's not just to us. It's probably a method they use against different teams that they may want to slow down. I just think it's fishy because, in particular, they know that one of our best strengths is our transition, and that refs holding the ball and waiting. Like, we see our guys like, give us the ball, like, give me the ball. Shed's like, give me the ball. And, Sheree Mitchell's holding it just like and waiting. And then like she's giving it after a second, I hate that because the other team gets down and there's defense set up and we don't get that that kind of transition offensive opportunity that we really value, you know. Joshua Monroe's in the house. Good to see you, Josh. Thanks for the subscription. Scottie and Pascal team up again. Yeah, they love this, man. In fact, let's go look at the Instagram stories. Josh, you're a great cue card for this. We got James Wade eating lunch. Okay, where are you eating lunch, James Wade? Coach James Wade. He's celebrating Scottie getting the All-Star. That's right. Luget's Dort is celebrating Chet Holmgren getting the All-Star. Honestly, I don't agree with this. I seriously don't. I think Chet in some ways has the star potential because of his persona, his weird body, and the way they marketed him. Sure, that part, but he doesn't have the other stuff. I don't think his stats are good enough, and I don't think he's a good enough player on the court to be an all-star level. It's weird because he may be the opposite of Duren. Duren has stats, but he's not a star like feel. Chet has a star feel, but I don't think he has the right stats. Does that make sense? Because that's the way I feel about it right there. Colin Murray-Boyles putting on blast Scottie Barnes for getting his second All-Star choice. Mercedes, Sandro's girlfriend, is celebrating Happy Black History Month on her Instagrams. This is what she's saying. Black history is more than slavery. Black history is more than segregation. Black history is more than struggle. It is innovation. It is creativity. It is resilience, and it is triumph. I like that. That's very good for this month starting off. And there's her man with the chain around his neck as of last night in the locker room. Sandro chain bearer. Oshai Abaji celebrating Scottie Barnes All-Star selection. Jacoby Walter celebrating Scottie Barnes All-Star selection. And there he is dancing with Jonathan and AJ Lawson on his Instagram stories. Jamal Shed celebrating Scottie Barnes on his All-Star selection. Jonathan Mobo celebrating Scottie Barnes on his All-Star selection. And there he is dancing with Jacoby too. Elijah Martin came into the game last night wearing a Florida Gators hoodie, and he wore it all through the game, wearing the blue and orange of the University of Florida. Yeah, in some ways it's like, I'll let it pass. In some ways, as a Florida State Seminole, just like Scott, this is kind of rivalry shit. And in some ways, it may have been a little annoying to Scott sitting on the bench with a guy wearing a Gators hoodie. I mean, you got to understand how it is in Florida, guys. I am an alumni of Florida State University and the Seminoles, just like Scottie. I went to school there. I got my degree, my Bachelor of Arts in writing and communication. That is my degree at Florida State. And in some ways, we are taught to hate the Gators. And in some ways, it's tough to see this, but also in some ways, he's the national champion with that team. And in some ways, people get us confused with them all the time. Oh, you went to Florida? Yeah, I didn't go to Florida. I went to Florida State. And this is a very big distinction. It's like telling a Leaf fan, oh, you're a Montreal Canadiens fan. Don't do that, people. Understand, there's a very big difference between Scottie Barnes' school and my school that we went to and the school that Elijah Martin went to and Matt Bonner went to, okay? There's a very, very big difference, okay? And I find that a lot of people up in Canada get Florida and Florida State mixed up very often. Scottie is not a Gator. Elijah is. I'm a Seminole, and so is Scottie. We're at Florida State. That's right. So just so y'all know, little lesson on that. He's celebrating Scottie Barnes being an all-star. Jamal McGlure is celebrating Scottie Barnes being an all-star. And he's also celebrating Siakam and Norman. Jamison Battle has celebrated Scottie Barnes as an all-star. Sandro Mamu's got the team photo. Grady was hidden in the back. He was in the photo, guys. In some ways, it's like, where's Grady in there? Was he missing in the photo? No. I can see a little tuft of blonde hair behind Brandon Ingram. He wasn't up front doing his pose, though. He was kind of hiding in the back there, but he was there. The team photo is funny. We see Elijah in his Gators jacket. We see Jamison doing his pose. Scottie has such a wholesome smile back in the back with AJ Lawson. And, just good stuff. Sandro's so happy. Yak's in there smiling too. This is good stuff, man. Team photos are goofy, but they're fun, man. I love them. And yeah, Mamu's celebrating Scottie Barnes All-Star. Emmanuel Quickly, be great for celebrating Scottie Barnes All-Star. It seems like most of the team is celebrating him. There's Jay Simpson, Scottie's friend from Florida State, celebrating Scottie Barnes All-Star. That's right, man. That's pretty cool, man. Let's see. Tyrese Samuel has been signed. Speaking of University of Florida, University of Florida Gator Tyrese Samuel has signed with the Vancouver Bandits for a new contract in the CBL. Just some real quick CBL news real there. Let's see. Lindsey Dunn is celebrating Blake Murphy doing the after game interview and letting RJ Barrett jump in there and thank and appreciate Scottie for getting his All-Star. So I like that. RJ got on the mic before Blake interviewed Scott and said, "I'm proud of Scottie for getting his All-Star." That's awesome, man. RJ's just cool. Lloyd, of course, celebrating Scottie Barnes getting his second All-Star. Congratulations, brother, from Lloyd. There's the Raptor messing with Blake Murphy, the new sideline reporter. Norman Powell putting on blast himself for making the All-Star. And everybody's really proud of this. This is a really huge win for grinders and underdogs in this world. And honestly, Fred, you need to have Norman Powell on your Unguarded podcast as soon as possible to talk to him about this accomplishment. Seriously, Freddie, go get Norman and put him on your show. I want to hear you guys kick it just like you and Kevin Durant did in an informal way where we just hear Norman and Fred talk like they do as friends. We love to have that window to hear y'all's conversation like that, just like how you did with KD. So, yeah, well-deserved Norman Powell. We're so proud of you in Raptors Nation, just like they are in Heat Nation. And Siakam, same thing, man. Siakam went to a game last night. It looks like he was at a Unrivaled game or something. I don't know. He's celebrating something. Who was playing there? Who is that? Oh, it's the G League team. He was at the G League game. He's watching the Boom, the Noblesville Boom. Interesting. So Siakam was running around there. You know what? I just realized his brother is a coach on the Boom. Just like he was a coach on the 905. Christian Siakam is an assistant coach on the G League team for the Indiana Pacers. Isn't that interesting? I didn't realize that. But there's Christian wearing the coach's uniform as an assistant coach for Noblesville Boom. That's just something Siakam has in his contract, I guess. I want this money, and my brother Christian has to coach on the G League team. Okay, we'll do that. Yeah, he's a good coach. He's great. So, yeah, Christian Siakam, I didn't realize he was doing that. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Where in the world is Serge Ibaka? He's on stage, and he's performing in front of people, it looks like. He's standing on stage with the performers and being hyped. That's where Serge is. He's awesome. Let's see. Matt Devlin is celebrating Colin Murray-Boyles. Let's see. And Fred VanVleet is got a new thing out on his YouTube channel called The Invisible Season, Part 1. And I guess it's chronicling his trials and tribulations as an injured player this year, sitting out and not being able to play and how that makes him feel. So check out Fred VanVleet TV with the great podcast Unguarded and the other content he comes out with, like his behind the scenes stuff. So Freddie, I know you're bored. I know you got lots of time. So that's why you're doing these creative projects right now. So yeah, definitely check out the Unguarded. Oh, it was Andrew Jones's son's birthday. Happy birthday to Andrew Jones Jr. So yeah, it was his birthday this week too. All right, there you go. That's it for the Instagram stories. Yeah, everybody's celebrating Scottie's All-Star on the Raptors. Everybody's celebrating. It's awesome. Kestra saying Sportsnet Raptors Show podcast. Blake and Matt going to be gracing our airwaves in game and off game. Amazing. Well, Blake. I said something mean about Blake a couple years ago, and I want to walk it back. I said that Blake is a great writer, and he's a great for radio, but he's not necessarily good for TV. And maybe that was mean. I think that Blake was great last night. He presented himself very professionally. I can see that he's upgraded his social media accounts to show a more professional level recently, partly in anticipation of this ability to come out and do the sideline reporting. I don't know. Do you guys care about whether the sideline reporter is male or female? It seems like that's often been a gendered job for females. But I feel like Blake, because of his insider knowledge that's very real, he's like the Josh Lundberg, he can get in front of the camera and really talk about some insider NBA stuff on a very good level. And the other thing is he's very eloquent, and I feel like he did a really good job last night. He's an upgrade on Danielle, absolutely, for sure. And, if they keep Blake in that spot for a while, I will not be upset. So, Blake, I apologize for saying a long time ago that you don't have the ability to do TV. I think I'm wrong. And I think that you will be fantastic as you expand in your career in broadcasting to new assignments. So yeah, salute to Blake Murphy, because honestly, he's been a very friendly person to us on this channel in the 905 chats on YouTube, and I appreciate him for that. And you know what? Good job last night, man. Seriously, really, really good job. Josh is saying Scottie, Pascal, and Norman making the old Raptors team. They're going to represent Canada in spirit for sure. For sure. Norman is always a Raptors champion. So is Siakam. And, I always say the successes of our guys past us are our successes still. That's what Masai said, is like Siakam's success is his success. It's just the damn truth. And we can say that about Fred. We can say that about OG. We can say that about a lot of different guys that are spread out around the league that had their formative years in Toronto. For sure, for sure. Fiercely saying this. I didn't see Nurkic apologize. Good for him then. Yeah, he walked over to Scott when Scottie actually did leave the game, and he walked over out of his way and went to our bench and talked to him right at the bench in front of everybody. So big ups to Nurkic for he's not trying to hurt him. I don't think anybody in the league, unless you're a psychopath, is trying to hurt people, because they all have the same fears. None of them want to get hurt. And in some ways, just like in a wrestling ring, they're trying to protect each other. And they should, because nobody wants to lose their livelihood or have some sort of messed up injury. That's why what Desmond Bane's doing is kind of like messed up, because he's being reckless and he could actually hurt somebody, like the way he tossed Emmanuel Quickly the other night on Friday. And if he hurt somebody yesterday because he did another some sort of dangerous move, that's what I'm saying, man. Kaz is saying, let's be real here. If Pascal was still on our team and we had the Pacers record they have right now, Pascal would not be an all-star. You know what? He's exactly right on this. I can't disagree with anything that Kaz is saying here. He's probably exactly right. If we were in the position of the Pacers and Scottie was up for all-star, he may not be getting consideration. And that's what happened last year. He got passed over and he got put in as an injury reserve because our record was pretty bad. And, I think Kaz is exactly right here. In some ways, the Pacers are an organization that is a proud organization that needs representation. That's another factor they think about, too, is they may look at the Rising Stars roster and they may be like, well, Washington's well represented here. Memphis is well represented here. They want to have at least one player from all of the franchises at the All-Star weekend at some level. And a lot of them may be collected on the Rising Stars level, as far as like, okay, there's somebody for the Lakers. There's somebody for the Clippers here. Actually, they're playing in the Clippers arena this year, which is crazy, right? The All-Stars in the Clippers arena, and there's no Clipper All-Star. I think that's awesome. But the representation of the Clippers may just be the building and them hosting it. But yeah, they want to keep in all 30 teams represented, and maybe they just figured at this point, with no Pacer Rising Stars, Siakam's the best representative for the Pacers at All-Star Weekend. So they do figure it out that way too, right? Stargate saying, I saw that BI full court play you speak of, Lex. He actually looked off a wide open Jacoby run into the rim ahead of him. Yeah, he wanted that one so bad that in some ways maybe it wasn't the right decision, but he converted it, so it was. It was kind of like that. There's often these plays where the Raptors, once again, and we said this in the game last night, somebody in the Discord, that the Raptors get position in the paint. Colin Murray-Boyles has the ball within 5 feet of the basket, and he's not trying to shoot it. He's looking for the pass out, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, dude, go up with it, man. You've got the best shot on this possession. We're not that good of a three-point shooting team. We did see that a couple times last night again, for sure. Stargate saying at least he made the shot. Exactly. If he doesn't make the shot, it looks bad. But the way he made the shot to Stargate, Brandon, on that full court drive was very high level because he used strength and skinny. He had to be skinny enough to be like Siakam to go through the cracks of the defense like water. And then there was a little bit of like contact around his wrist and arm area when he was finishing the ball at the rim, and he made it convert, which was not totally easy because there was contact there that could have screwed him up. So that showed high level finishing and execution through the contact in the middle of the lane. So, and at a high speed too, because he was coming quick at the rim. So Mr. Quasimodo is saying the home losing streak has been broken. Lex is right about the win. We needed it. We needed it. Yeah, I was shocked when Matt Devlin said last night that the Raptors' last home win was the game I went to, which was the overtime win against Philadelphia by one, and that we had lost every home game after that up until yesterday. That was horrible. That's bad because that was a while ago. I'm like, man, I went to that game like 3 weeks ago to go to that Philly game where we clawed it out and got that 1 point victory over Nick Nurse and Tyrese Maxey. Yeah, that was awesome, man. That was awesome. Fiercely saying this Jalen Duren is putting up crazy numbers in my fantasy lineup. He's having a great season so far. So, Fiercely knowing from her fantasy team firsthand that Duren, well, he is an all-star, Lex, because I'm feeling the positive effects from what he's doing. Okay. I mean, I haven't paid close enough attention to them. I haven't scouted Detroit yet this year because we haven't played them yet. I'll get to scout some of these teams this week for the first time this year. Chicago and Detroit coming up. And I'll get more familiar with what Jalen Duren's doing then. I guess I should go look at other teams ahead of time, but I don't. I ignore every team until we play them. And well, I'm going to have to get familiar with the Bulls tomorrow and then the Pistons very soon after that. Yeah. Yeah. That's good information, though. Kaloy saying, morning, Lex, and everyone. Next year, we will be top seed and have 3 All Stars Scottie, Brandon, and RJ claiming it. Yeah. If they do this convoluted, stupid format, maybe we'll have a player on each of the 3 All Star teams, too. You know, good to see you, Kaloy. Always good to see you. Stargate saying, as soon as we succeed in transforming ourselves, the world will melt magically before our eyes and reshape itself in harmony with that which our transformation affirms. Neville Goddard. Wow, I do like the new quote of the day segment from Stargate. I like this. You know, there's been a lot of like changing of cycles in the world in like astronomy. There's a lot of like transitory planets that are changing, and there's a new age. There's like an end of a 200-year cycle that just is happening, and we're going into a brand new 200-year cycle. And that's why it's a blank canvas. It's kind of like an era where we can shape and mold the future in more ways than ever in some ways, but we have to have responsible leadership and responsible ethical decisions made because we could really make our futures messed up if we don't have the right people empowered to make the decisions. And that's the scary thing right now. But on an individual level in each one of our lives, we can have personal transformations on a small scale around us. And this is what this is characterized in this quote. I'm personally having changes myself recently of opening my eyes to different things that I didn't realize that I could do in my life. And it's been very rewarding and awesome. And it's helping me to be happier. So I can see what Stargate's quote is about. If you guys are interested in human design, you should check it out because it can be very helpful to guide you in the direction of how to do something like what this quote is saying. So yeah, I know I keep bringing it up, but man, it's huge in my mind because I'm telling you, it's bringing me so many answers right now, answers to my life purpose and the strategies that I should be employing in my life to live a happier life. I'm getting real results. And you know, if that's intriguing or interesting to you, I would say look it up. Seriously, find out your human design chart, and you know, do some research and find out about it. If you have contact with me through social media or Discord or even my phone, and you want to ask me more about this because you have questions in private time, I will definitely answer your questions. Just reach out. Just reach out. Straight Goods on Canadian Goods, guys. This is a great Canadian company, McCain. You guys know McCain. They're in the frozen food section. And McCain's been making fries for Canadians for a long, long time. So let's not change that up. McCain's been fantastic for pizzas. If you see the McCain name in your frozen food section, know that it's a Canadian company and you are supporting Canada by buying McCain. So let me see. Let me look at some stats on there. They're out of New Brunswick and Florenceville, Canada. They were founded a long, long time ago, and it's a $14 billion Canadian company, guys. French fries, appetizers, vegetables, desserts, entrees, oven meals, McCain's. You know they got that great dessert. Oh my gosh, they do. So yeah, apparently 1 in 4 French fries in the world are McCain fries. So we should be proud of our Canadian company being globally powerful as far as things. So continue to buy your McCain products because this is straight up a Canadian company. And you know what? Even McCain suspended all their shipments to Russia after the invasion of Ukraine. So they put their money where their mouth is and they take stands on the right kind of things too. So let's support our company, McCain Frozen Foods. You can find them in the frozen foods section. Straight goods on Canadian goods, real quick, right there. Yeah, Mo's here. Good to see the super fan, Monique Lawrence, the greatest. Did you go to the game last night? Super fan? I have a feeling, I always got this feeling like that Mo's at the game. And I think she might have been at the game for the Jazz yesterday. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. What a win. Congratulations, Scotty. Snub BI. He replaced, he will be replaced. Yay, Norman. Still celebrating Pascal, regardless. Yeah, we're happy for our former Raptors. We're happy for Scotty, and maybe we'll be happy for Brandon still. We just got to give it some time, Mo. I wish you all the best and blessings to Monique and the Lawrence family, always coming from me. That's right. Reggie saying Blue Jays putting up a statue of Joe Carter's iconic home run. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That's cool news. I like that. You know, some people had talked about recently, should they retire Joe Carter's number and not let any Blue Jays wear his number anymore? You know, they have the level of excellence. And I feel like that's a pretty good kind of way to honor an MLB, because we got to remember this. You start retiring numbers like the Celtics and the Lakers, you don't have no numbers for people to wear on their jersey. And in basketball, there's smaller rosters than in baseball. So you start retiring too many freaking numbers, you're going to run out of numbers. And people have to be careful with this. Sure, the Yankees going to retire some numbers. They got to, right? The Blue Jays, have they retired any numbers, Reggie? You could maybe tell me. I know the level of excellence is a whole other different thing. It's not necessarily that they're retiring a number. They're just putting names on up on the board in the outfield that show these are luminaries from the Blue Jays history. But this is different. They had Ted the second outside, Ted Rogers the second statue out there, but they're going to have a Joe Carter home run statue now, finally. That's amazing. And I'm so glad they're doing this. This is long overdue, if you ask me. I mean, really? You're going to celebrate an accomplishment from the early 90s now, finally, 30 years later? Okay, let's do it. I'm all about this. This is great news, man. Between gates 4 and 5, so emotional. Let's see, seeing that. Wow, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I mean, he may not get his jersey number retired, but he's going to get a statue, and that's fantastic. Did you hear what Derrick Rose said recently? Of course, his jersey got retired by the Bulls just in the last week, and he came out publicly and said he does not want a statue of himself built in Chicago because he saw the Dwayne Wade statue. This is true. Seriously. Derrick Rose said, do not make me a statue, Bulls, because I don't want to be commemorated like Dwayne Wade got commemorated. This is hilarious, man. This is hilarious. Who knew that this would have this kind of domino effect? Such a shitty statue that the Miami Heat made of Dwayne Wade. That like now players are like, no, don't make a statue of me. Please don't. You know, Alvin always jokes that, yeah, make the Kyle Lowry statue outside of Scotiabank Arena so the pigeons can poop on it. He's always saying stuff like that. It's hilarious when he says that, man. Alvin, you're hilarious, man. Oh, so good. So good. All right, let me keep going. This is awesome. I'm so happy about that. Superfan Mo saying enjoy the post-game interviews, of course. Yeah, you know, very like just kind of run the mill interviews last night. Darko going over the game, very proud of Scotty. Also going on about how he felt like Brandon should be an all-star. And then Scotty getting the questions about getting it again and just what the way the team's been going and trying to get back to winning. You know, Scotty's interviews recently have been very professional, being on ESPN on Friday night and talking on a high level about the team and just staying positive and getting good things happening for the team over and over again. So, yeah, Scotty's been really, really awesome in his media recently, for sure. Smooth saying October 23rd, 1993, the shot heard all over Canada, not just the greatest home run in Blue Jays history, but a top 3 in all of baseball history. Yeah, it's kind of like the Kawhi shot. It's kind of like a thing where, you know, if that league and the people that run it wanted to commemorate it more and put it on blast, they could. But alas, if it was maybe a Yankees or a Lakers highlight, they probably would, right? That's kind of how we look at it, right? That it's like if it wasn't the Blue Jays, it wasn't Kawhi, it wasn't the Raptors. I'll bet you they would say that Kawhi Leonard shot is the greatest shot in the NBA's history if it was the Celtics that shot that shot. I mean, let's just think about this seriously. That Kawhi shot is one of the most amazing things that ever happened in sports. It was like a movie, right down to the slow motion bounce. And the NBA, they don't put enough importance on that moment that they should. And well, Joe Carter that could probably be paralleled with the MLB and Joe Carter's walk-off home run. Is it because it was the Canadian team? Is it that why MLB? Come on now. Come on now. Yeah, still remember that clear as day. I don't remember it clear as day, but I was very much cognizant and watching those World Series and seeing them win in Florida. I wasn't even in Toronto when they won those. I was living in Florida at that time, and I was heavily rooting for the Blue Jays in Atlanta Braves territory. Because that's the MLB team for Tallahassee, Florida, is the Atlanta Braves. And then we beat them in the World Series for the second one. Woo-hoo! Woo, they were not happy. They were not happy. I was at a party and people got really mad at me at that game. That's right. That was funny, man. Let's see. Smooth saying summer 2026, the statue will be unveiled. That's awesome, man. Thanks for that news on the Blue Jays statue they're making. Superfan Mo's got me on the cutoff. It's 2.5 hours. I guess I should start wrapping it up. W Stream, W Vibes, go Raptors for life. Keep at it always, Lex. Raptor Free Crew strong forever. Just helping me limit the comments. I appreciate you, Mo. I miss you when you're not here, but I know you're a very busy lady, and I just feel privileged and honored when we have your time here on the channel. I really do feel privileged and honored. Let's see. Superfan Mo saying, I watched the game at Jack Astor's with my brother last night. Okay, so you didn't go down to the game, but you watched it at a restaurant with your brother. Cool. I'm glad that you're getting a lot of time with your siblings these days, whether it was going to the game with your sister the other day and hanging out with your brother this weekend. It's fantastic stuff. Let's see. Smooth saying they retired Robbie Alamar's number. They did? Well, that seems like they regret that. They probably regret that now in time. Yeah, the number 12. However, he got into alleged serious trouble, so the Jays made the choice to distance themselves from him. Yeah, he's a problematic person in a couple of ways, honestly. Smooth saying there's only one other time in history a World Series deciding game was decided by a home run to win it all. The only other time was in the 40s. Yeah, that sounds like another Kawhi moment that just doesn't, it gets shuffled to the side just because of who it is. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. That's what it looks like to me. All right, let me keep going with my tabs. Raptors Reddit are celebrating the All-Star selections and stuff. That's pretty cool. Man, Scottie said, quote, in his post-game conference, I don't know how Ingram didn't make it. He's been balling. He's been doing so much for our team. To be from where our team was last year to this year, his impact on our team is instrumental to our success. It's just ridiculous he's not there. There you go. Scotty standing for him. Really good. Somebody idiot on Reddit saying that Jalen Suggs should be an off-season target for us. Let it go. I just say that to the person who wants Suggs on the Raptors so bad. Let it fucking go. Seriously, let this shit go. Seriously. All right, I think I'm finished up with this. There's a lot of dumb, convoluted ass, stupid trade rumors all over Reddit that are just dumb and we don't even need to look at. So we'll keep moving. Let's see what else is going on. Let's see if there's any breaking news while I've been on the air for the Raptors somewhere. Let me see. Doesn't look like there's breaking news. A lot of people very happy about Jamal Murray getting his All-Star nod. All right, let's do the birthdays. Happy birthday to former Raptor Chris Garner. Chris Garner was born in Memphis, Tennessee, and he's 51 years old today. Chris Garner played for the Raptors for one season for 38 games, and he averaged 1.4 points per game. He only played 46 games in his NBA career. So 38 of them were in a Raptors jersey. So happy birthday to one-time Raptor. Long time ago in 1997-98 is when he played for us. Chris Garner. Do you guys even know who that is? He went to Memphis is where he went to school. We also have to have a huge birthday. We had one of the big broadcasters for the Raptors, Chuck Swirsky's birthday the other day. Well, we've got another voice of the Raptors that was very, very important in the history of the Raptors in the very beginning, John Saunders. We have to say a happy birthday to the late, great John Saunders, who passed away at the age of 61 in the year of 2016. He is not just a legend in broadcasting for the Raptors, being the original voice of the Raptors in our play-by-play on City TV. He was also a legend in the United States. In fact, a lot of people did not realize that John Saunders was Canadian and from Toronto because he called college football games. And he called a lot of Florida State football games in the 90s with Bobby Bowden and Warwick Dunn and Boulware and Andre Wadsworth and all these great players. And when I was watching them, and John Saunders was a voice we heard on Saturdays in the United States for college football games as an anchor many, many times over. Of course, John was accomplished at the top of his field as a college football analyst and anchor, but he still wanted to take that hometown job of coming to be the voice of the Raptors in the beginning. Alas, he didn't do it for very long, but he was in that job for a little while, and he wanted to be a part of the early history of the Raptors, even though he was a football guy more. But he was Canadian and he was true to this country. That's something you could learn from, Mark Jones, is what I'll say right now. You could learn from John Saunders, my guy. Seriously. So we really got to say a huge, huge happy birthday to the late, great, deceased John Saunders. What a broadcasting legend, man. Like, seriously. I mean, Kareem didn't even realize he was Canadian the other day when I mentioned it. And yeah, it's his birthday today, sadly. And, he would have been, I think he would have been 76 today, guys, if he was still with us. So happy birthday to John. Let's see. Let's do the classic card. Oh, we had the finish up of the week for our fantasy teams. I'll go over the winners from this past week. James won his matchup, and he's 13-2 at this point. Ahmed won his matchup. He's 11-4. Omari won this past week. Jason Dukes won. He's 12-3. Fiercey won her matchup this week against Andrew. We had a winner in HC. He's still the one defeated at 14-1. MK won his matchup at 11-4. And I won my matchup this week against Gerald, and it was 13-2 is my record. So we got all the winning teams winning their matchups this week. And we have some juggernauts in our fantasy NBA league. And, well, there's going to be some very competitive playoffs with the teams we've got going right now. Holy crap. Check your lineups for this week, starting a brand new week in our Yahoo Fantasy League. And make sure you're ready. All right, let's get the classic card. We've got to do everything in its right order. That's right. That is right. Let's see. Stargate saying, touch them all, Joe. Touch them all. One of the greatest calls in sports history. Is that the home run in the 40s that you're talking about? Okay, here's our classic card. And of course, this card is not action on the court. I want to note this, all right? Who is this classic card? I'll bring it to you slowly. Full name answer will get the card. And, of course, this card is not an action shot of being on the actual court. Of course, that's right. Oh, that's the Joe Carter call. Yeah, that is the Joe Carter call. You're right. I remember that now. Yeah, go ahead and put that other letter in there. You got it. I won't count you for that. Oh, my gosh. Did he steal it? How do I do this? Is Adriana here? It's like, yeah, it is Bradley Beal. And I think it's hilarious that, like I said, he's not on the court in action. This is just a picture of him from Media Day for the Suns of all teams, too. You seagulled it? I don't know. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you guys both 50 points today because I feel like, oh, man, you know what? I kind of need to respect Slug Deezy. I kind of need to respect his work as the classic card guy and getting it. And he did come back around and put the Bradley in, even though it was after you putting the full thing. I don't know. This is tough. I wish Adriana was here. She could be impartial and just decide it for me and just say, yeah, this is what it is. Sometimes she's in here just watching, lurking. Are you here, Adriana? Should I get Justin to do this since it's Groundhog's Day? We might as well end the stream with the bookends of Justin Bieber since it's Groundhog's Day. Justin, wake up again. Listen, I got a controversy with the classic card. Can you come and adjudicate it? You can? All right, cool. Come on. All right, come on. All right. All right, Justin. I know you're tired. Listen, Slug Deezy or Stargate, which one do you think should get the card? Okay. All right. I think that's the right way. You know, I wish more people were like you. What is this on you, man? What are you doing? Sleeping on garbage? What is this actually? It's just like a piece of felt or something like that, just sitting on you, man. I mean, I guess there's stuff you use to build the dam, right? This just kind of gets on you. Here, you got hair in your eye. All right. So Justin is decided to be benevolent and he wants both of y'all to get 50 points. So that's what you want? Yeah. Okay. He's a nice beaver. I guess I'm raising him right. All right. You can go back to sleep. Thanks for being here for this. Happy Groundhog's Day. I hope that you and your kind, the rodent kind, the beaver kind, enjoy your holiday of Groundhog's Day. All right, my guy. All right. All right. I love you. I love you. Oh yeah. Gotta hug him right. All right. All right. Go back to sleep. All right. Going back to sleep. All right. He's going back down to his burrow. His burrow. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna do 50 points for both of y'all. That's officially the word from the beaver's mouth. So yeah, there we go. 50 points for each of you guys. I'll write it in real quick. It's Bradley Beal. And we're gonna overpay you guys for the points, just like Bradley's overpaid. So it makes total sense. Slug DZ and Stargate are getting the split on there, and it's gonna be 50 points each. I honestly is 25 each because he's not worth 100 points. He's a 50 point thing. So 25 points to both you guys for today. There you go. There you go. Daddy Gates gets it. Kareem says Daddy Gates gets it. Well, that's not what Justin said. Seagulling is all wood. Is all wood? Devin Booker? No, it's Bradley. It's Bradley Beal. That's right. I used to half-ass all the time. Oh, yeah. There you go. There you go. Thank you, Justin. You're welcome, Stargate. You just thanked the puppet beaver. I love that. You must be having a good Monday. There you go. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me today. Stars of the game for the game today. Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Sandro Mamukelashvili, Emmanuel Quickly, and Scottie Barnes were my stars of the game. Honorable mention to Colin Murray-Boyles. And you guys can't play that bad against most teams in the league. You're going to play better against the Bulls. If you don't, you're going to lose. So get your shit together. Focus. Get in the game and get your head straight. And if you're a little bit fatigued and tired, take one of the next 2 days. Rest. Seriously, Raptors. Take a day off and get your body right, Jamal Shed. Is what I'm saying right now. Is what I'm saying right there. All right, y'all. Have a great week, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Tuesday trivia. That's right. Be ready with your trivia caps. You will not know what the subject is until I show up right at the time. So that's why there's no stream up until right before it comes on, is because I'm not showing my cards about what the trivia subject is until right before. So we are playing trivia tomorrow. I hope if you enjoyed the Mark Gasol Classic Jurassic Tuesday trivia last week, well, we're going to do some trivia tomorrow. And I hope you'll join us then. All right, y'all. Have a fantastic Monday. Bless everybody. Bless the world. Let's get this world right. Put that good energy out there and do the right thing, Spike Lee, and do the right thing in your life. That's right. Let's go, Raptors. Let's go, Groundhogs. Let's go, Tempo. Let's go, 905.